Welcome to today's GameCast broadcast. Today's broadcast is packed with a large variety of unique and original programming that is sure to meet every gamer's entertainment needs, along with some old-fashioned vitamins A and B. You can expect the hottest news of the week, a large variety of opinions, and salt, from GameCast hosts, and some good old-fashioned fun. We have a lot of entertainment in store for you, so grab a Mountain Dew or two and a bag of Doritos, and strap yourself in for the one and only TV for Gamers.
This message not sponsored by Mountain Dew or Doritos. In fact, we wish we were sponsored by those guys. We could in fact be rolling into an admin cash of literal dough. Please, someone out there sponsor the GameCast Entertainment Network. It means a lot to us, pretty please.
Stay tuned for the news hosted by Insert Name Here. Get yourself in the know on all the latest happenings in the gaming world. Be it good, be it bad, be it something that makes me very, very salty.
Hey there, hi there, hello there, internet dwellers, and welcome to another episode of the GC Informer. I'm your host, Orange Lightning. I'm a little lacking in voice because I have been recovering from a cold. So we'll start with a couple of small little headlines and then jump into a couple of slightly larger stories. Let's get straight into it. All of you out there who are eagerly awaiting the release of Final Fantasy 15 on Windows Edition, well, there is another free little add-on for you, which will come from just purchasing the game itself. If you're a Half-Life fan, it's a bit odd, but each to their own. You will get Gordon Freeman's legendary outfit, his specs, and his famous crowbar in order to equip to your character. It's very interesting that Final Fantasy 15 is enjoying dipping into other franchises for DLC, and it's really cool actually to see it uniting things, as we had the Assassin's Creed previously. I think people would have seen this and maybe hoped for a little bit more rather than just a skin. It feels a bit Sim-like even. But it is pretty snazzy if you want to play the game dressed as Gordon Freeman. Now you can. A PC demo for Final Fantasy 15 will be launching on the 26th of February, but you cannot play in the Gordon Freeman skin until the full launch. Kingdom Come Deliverance has been rather surprising. Maybe not to some, but it has already sold over 1 million copies, which is huge, quite frankly, in the short time that it's been out. But it does show that even if a game is full of bugs, as this one certainly is, if the mechanics work enough so that it's not game breaking and the story is interesting and just the way it plays can capture an audience, then bugs be damned, it will succeed. You know, The Witcher 3 has already demonstrated that glitches, as long as they don't destroy the game, can just be funny. And as a lot of people predicted, Kingdom Come Deliverance seems to be following similar footsteps to The Witcher, which is really great, considering this has come from an unknown developer until now. That's really promising, really good. I have been looking at picking the game up myself, and you know what, maybe I will. Loot boxes, loot boxes, loot boxes. Where would we be if not for loot boxes? Well, continuing the whole debate about loot boxes that's been going on for quite some time now, League of Legends developers Riot have actually decided to take it upon themselves to now release the rates of drops in their Hex Tech crates. All of the items you can get in the loot boxes in League of Legends are available to purchase in the shop as well, but now you can see the full percentage gauge for the loot crates and what you are likely to get. So if you do want to throw your money into it, you've got more of an insight into how worth it is. Obviously, it is still chance and it is still luck, so people will still have hope that they'll get the smaller percentaged, rarer items, but it's nice to be able to see the percentages now. And they've also released detailed explanations for what each one means. I'm not going to go into all of them, but you have things like a skin shard is 50%, a champion shard is 25%, a permanent emote is 10%, a ward skin shard plus 150 bonus orange essence is 11.5%, and a summoner icon shard plus 150 bonus orange essence is 3.5%. There are some bonus ones as well, and like I said, Riot have gone into detail explaining multiple factions of this, so if you want to know all of it in depth, this is all in the support section on the League of Legends official website. Onto a larger story now. Norway is confronting Nintendo about their refund policies on the eShop. Refunding is always a touchy subject with a lot of companies. Hell, it's sometimes quite difficult to do it in a shop, but the Norwegian Consumer Council is not convinced that Nintendo are complying with the European laws on refunding. But the Norwegian Consumer Council are not convinced that Nintendo eShop is following the statutory rights of the consumer in the European laws. As it states, when pre-ordering a game, the consumer has the right to cancel this at any point before the release date. Taking a closer look at the Nintendo eShop, if you try and buy a game before its release, so you pre-order a game, there is a checkbox that says that the consumer will consent that Nintendo will begin with the performance of its obligations as soon as the purchase is made, so you therefore waive any right to cancel. So this implies that Nintendo begins performing its obligations to you, the buyer, as soon as you have made your purchase. However, Norway disagree with this and argue that Nintendo do not do any of their obligations to you until, shockingly, you download the game. Which I agree with, because what else do they do when you've pre-ordered a game? If the game's not ready, they have nothing to do. Services such as EA's Origins and Steam have pretty stable ways of giving refunds, so people are capable of doing it, but the Consumer Council have cited Nintendo as standing out from the others for these reasons, and have gone on to say, the company plainly states that all sales are final, and according to the rights of withdrawal laid down in the Consumer Rights Directive, such terms are illegal. Until the game can be downloaded and launched, the seller cannot prohibit the consumer from cancelling their pre-order. Nintendo have stayed pretty quiet, but they have released a statement that basically just says, we are following the European laws on statutory rights, but if all these points are considered, then clearly they're not, unless there's some tricky refund maneuver behind closed doors that they won't let us get to, or it's really freaking annoying and hoop jumping to do so, because that wouldn't surprise me. Make it difficult and then the consumers won't want to do it, because they're lazy. So watch this space and see what happens, I guess, because we don't have a resolution yet. But other than Norway saying, no, you're doing it wrong, and Nintendo saying, yeah, we're doing it fine. See if anything unfolds. And our other story of today is Konami's Metal Gear Survive, a game that has raised many an eyebrow, be it questioningly, surprised, or lowered some eyebrows into an obvious frown, because this is the first Metal Gear titled game to be made without Kojima, the original creator of Metal Gear. And obviously it's a bit different to the typical Metal Gear games. They've gone for more of a zombie survival-y type game with this one, Metal Gear Survive, which has received a relatively decent reception, to be honest. I think people are taking it for what it is rather than what it relates to. And it has stayed relatively true to keeping a Metal Gear-ish feel to it. However, there is a little bit of a outcry, not a huge one, but a small one, because the creators of Metal Gear Survive, Konami, decided to do something a bit weird and, quite frankly, just irritating and unnecessary in an attempt to piss everyone off, because it's working. And yeah, it's a microtransaction. And it's a dumb one. So there is a currency, of course, for Metal Gear Survive called SV coins that you can only buy with real money. You cannot get them any other way, which actually do give you access to XP boosters and things like that. So annoying things that you shouldn't buy anyway, because they just make the gameplay pointless. However, What's worse is for around 1,000 SV coins. So if you're in the UK, it's about $7.99. Because as usual, you have to buy things in packs. You can't just buy what you want. So you'd have to buy 1,150 coins, which I really friggin' hate when they do that. Imagine going on something like eShop or Steam and being like, I want to buy a game that's £3.70, but I don't have any like money saved here and there. Oh, you can only put £5 in. It's like, but I don't want to. I want to spend £3.70. Why are you making me do this? That's another story. What's worse is what it's for, and that's to buy another character slot. Yes, if you are the type of person who likes to make multiple characters for a game like this and level them up, well, now you have to pay £8 in order to have another slot. That's it. But what makes this super weird is that usually those sorts of things are only really a big deal if you've got different kinds of classes in a game. Something like Final Fantasy XIV, where you've got different races. Maybe you wanted to play as, I can't remember the official names, but the cat characters or the giant ogre character. Then you can just create another character. Or something like Destiny, where you have a specific class like a hunter or a titan, and you want to level up each one. You want to see how each of them play. Then it's more relevant to have another character slot. And to be honest, if Metal Gear Survive was like that, I think there'd be a bigger rage behind having to pay for another slot. But as this game doesn't force you to make any specific choices about your character that stick, why? Just why? Why even? Why? Is this to discourage people from making another character? Because it seems like a really weird choice to make. I'd love to know the thought process that went behind that, because it's very, very unnecessary. So yeah, it's come across as more irritating than downright furious, but just weird. Why? Just why? And that's it for today's news. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know what you think of these stories, and stay tuned for more awesome gaming content coming your way. Hey, maybe you want to read the news yourself. Give it a go. I've learned so much more about the gaming community since I started doing some newscasting for GameCast. And it's really cool, actually. I can't stop reading news articles now. Totally addicted. So I've been your host, Orange Lightning from Orange Lightning Playzone, and yeah, stay tuned for more. Take care for now, enjoy your weekends, bye!
The GameCast Discord is the hub of the small world that is GameCast. It's a thriving community filled with gamers, GameCast personalities, and other miscellaneous people we somehow keep picking up along the way. We really don't know how to get rid of them. Not only will it keep you up to date and in the know on all things GameCast, but you will also find weekly gaming events, streams, and of course, a very salty Count Fracula, now also available in a low-sodium alternative. Coming up next, Game Changer. Explore the many weird and awesome ways you could be playing your favorite games. Hacks, mods, challenges, and glitches. Game Changer and your host Alex are sure to have it all.
What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. Today we are looking at some ridiculous challenges in Super Mario Odyssey, so let's get right into that. The first challenge we're looking at is the jump rope challenge with the scooter. This is a challenge to get the highest score possible with the scooter. Next, we have some impossible jumps. These are almost impossible jumps across some huge chasms. Next, we have the floor is lava challenge. Don't touch the ground in New Donk City. And finally, we have the undress Mario speedrun. This is also called the nipple percent run. You heard that correctly. Nipples. This is a speedrun to get Mario into his boxers as fast as possible. The jump rope challenge is a weird way to make the jump rope high score. Grab the scooter in New Donk City and go for it. It's actually possible to get a decent high score with this. There's a few impossible jumps in Super Mario Odyssey, one of them being the New Donk City starting point. Another almost impossible jump is soaring over the Forgotten Isle, which is a moon in Lost Kingdom. Try to get this one without capturing anything. And then we have the underground treasure chest. This is in Sand Kingdom. Again, this is a no capture challenge. The Floor's Lava challenge starts from the building where the Odyssey is in New Donk City. Time ends when you reach the green trash can shown right here. Don't touch the ground on mainland or on buildings, and you can't ride the scooter. You're allowed to transform into anything as long as it follows the rules. And finally, we're looking at the nipple percent speedrun. This is a fairly new speedrun challenge, and it's ridiculously short. All you have to do is get to the Sand Kingdom and purchase Mario's boxers as an outfit. It's a speedrun to get enough money to buy this outfit, and then that's it. The current speedrun score for this is 9 minutes and 57 seconds. The jump rope challenge is a little awkward to get started, but it's actually easy to pull off. The impossible jumps are very dependent on accuracy and speed, and some of them literally do feel like they're impossible, but they're not. You have a lot of freedom to move around with Mario, and there are a lot of options for getting across different jumps. The Floor's Lava challenge is a pretty short challenge, but something to impress your friends. Try to make a high score. The nipple percent speedrun is ridiculously short, and it's pretty much just good for a laugh. It probably works best if you combined it with a series of challenges rather than just doing it on its own. 10 minutes is a little too short for a speedrun in my opinion. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, head on over to the GameCast channel and see what we're doing over there. We've got news, reviews, podcasts, let's plays. We're doing some awesome stuff. We're always looking for new members, so consider subscribing and keeping up with us. And I am signing off for now. What's up everyone, Alex here, and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. If you're having a hard time getting through the Darker Side challenge at the end of the game, well, what if I told you there's a way to skip everything and go right to the tower at the end? That is actually a thing you can do, so let's get right into that. So this is a glitch to skip the entire Darker Side challenge by capturing a frog. Easy, right? You will need to capture one of these frogs and use it to cross the gap between this area and the New Donk City skyscraper in the distance. This is going to be a little tough to explain, but that's why we have a video to show you how it works. Capture one of the frogs, jump at the same time as the other one, and then let go of the frog that you captured. This is a short jump. You got to do a short little jump, let go of the frog. Bounce off of that other frog, and then capture it quickly while you're still in the air. You'll need to be at about this height to get the glitch to work. So let's play that back again so you can actually see what it looks like. Capture the frog, jump up, let go of the frog, bounce off the other frog, and then capture it. Bouncing off that other frog and capturing it is literally within frames of each other. You gotta do it really quickly. This somehow tricks the game into thinking you're swimming? I don't know. Swim all the way over to the tower, which is a pretty long way, but have fun with it. You did it. You skipped all of the Darker Side. My guess is that the collision for the pool of water at the base of the tower is extended far enough for the frog to interact with, but that's a really long way. I'm not sure if that's actually how it works, but that's my guess. Another way to do it, which I could not actually get to work, use Dory's back to give you a little bit of a lift, and you'll have the same effect. You stay in the water, pressed up against its side, and let it push you upwards until you're at about, the right height to get over that little wall. You'll retain your swimming animation, and you can just swim across the chasm in the same way. This gameplay actually comes from a user named Evie, so thank you so much, random user on YouTube, because I found this and found a way to plug it into this video. So this took about 5 minutes for me to pull off, mainly because I didn't know there was a specific height you had to reach before you could start swimming, so I was failing a couple times, but it really didn't take that long to catch on to how it works. I would say that this glitch is not worth it. I know, right? My first rating that's not worth it. Super Mario Odyssey is all about the experience, including the taxing and difficult areas. Personally, as a lover of 3D Mario platforming, I prefer the challenges presented on the darker side of the moon rather than having to skip over them. But if you wanted something super cool to show your friends, it's not too difficult to do. Show them this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, head over to the GameCast and see what we're doing over there. We've got news, reviews, podcasts, and Let's Plays. We've got a lot of stuff we're doing over there. It's awesome. Go consider subscribing, and I am signing off for now.
Follow GameCast on Twitter. Not only is it a handy space that keeps you in the GameCast know, but it allows for you to share with us what's piquing your interest in the gaming world, and, ultimately, aids us in staying in the know of what interests you, our fellow gamers and fans. The GameCast Twitter has been referred to as a shotgun to the face of tweets and content. We will be very
disappointed if you don't retaliate in kind.
Stay tuned for the Newscast, the show where the GC Informa hosts are format-free, off-script, and, at times, out of their minds. Join them as they dive deep into the current events of the gaming world.
Warning, may contain high levels of salt. GameCast is not accountable for any health issues linked to salt exposure or consumption.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the GameCast Newscast. I am Snowy, otherwise known as Count Fracula. Joining me after being a bit of a dick last week is Max.
Excuse me.
You're the one who didn't tell me you couldn't do it.
I forgot what we say. That's changed the days. I'm sorry.
It's not my problem, mate.
I know. Well, I'm back. Hi, everyone.
Yes. And no guest this week because whatever didn't happen. And yeah, let's talk about some news.
Woot.
Sonic the Hedgehog, a series mired by a lot of shit games. Let's be fair.
Yep.
Along with, you know, a few very good games. Sonic Mania, Sonic's 1, 2, and 3, and Knuckles.
Generations.
Generations,
kind of.
yeah. Colors for some people.
Yep. Lost World for some people, though I disagree with that one.
No, I found that incredibly weird and boring.
It was boring, right? It was boring.
Yeah.
How do you make that Sonic game boring?
Well,
at least the other ones were
ask
just
Sonic
bad.
Team. They seem to be very good at it.
Yeah. Lord.
It was also accompanied by quite a good TV series called Sonic Underground. If you remember that one. I remember.
Lost World was?
No, just Sonic in general.
Oh. Apparently all the TV shows are good. I didn't know about that one. But I know like even the Sonic Mania TV show is like good, apparently.
I didn't know
apparently it's
Sonic
meta
Mania
as
one.
hell. Oh yeah, it launched with the game Sonic Mania. Like Sonic Mania was supposed to reboot the whole universe and then
What,
they
you
made
mean
one
like
game.
Sonic Boom was supposed to?
Or fuck, Boom, sorry, that's
I
what
think
I
it's
meant.
Boom that you meant, yeah.
Yes. I'm reading Sonic
To
Mania
be
on
fair, it would be
article.
infinitely better than the game, Sonic
Yeah.
Boom.
No, the show was apparently good. The Sonic Boom
Okay.
show. I think it's still on. And it's apparently very meta and like funny and like very like progressive, I guess, which is good or
Okay.
bad depending on your views. But yeah.
So there was that. Sonic Underground, the one I remember, was a bit different because like Sonic had two siblings.
What?
And they were all like they were related. They were the children of this princess of this land who Robotnik, because he was actually called Robotnik in this series, took over. It's like the only animated series where he's referred to as Robotnik, and it's the only good
Right.
one now. So yeah, that was a series that was actually quite good. I really enjoyed that series.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so, you know, Sonic as a franchise, I would give a solid 40%.
Did you
take-
just score? Did you just score the Sonic franchise?
The entire franchise, if you take everything as good, bad, I'd say it has a 40% hit rate.
Interesting. Can we start scoring franchises?
Sure.
Can we make this a regular thing?
Why not? Let's do that. Assassin's Creed, 20%.
Right.
Let's start some proper fanboy wars.
That would be a great series, actually. That'd be interesting. Like, it's obviously been done before, but like framing it differently.
Yeah. Mario. I'm not going down that well.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Who knows? We might do that if we're very light on content one week. Anyway.
I feel like that'd be a long project.
That would be, probably. So, we were talking about Sonic and its weird hit rate, and I'd say that all of the non-game properties, bar maybe a few weird comics, are pretty good, pretty solid. And there've been rumours of a movie now for a long time, and then it was sort of greenlit in 2016, and there was a sort of vague release date given about 2018, roughly. It is currently 2018, if you didn't know. And now we have a proper release date of the 15th of November, 2019. So a little bit later than we thought it would be. Now,
Yay!
here's where my enthusiasm jumps right off a cliff. Quote, the Sonic film will be a mix of CGI and live action. End quote.
Yep.
Oh.
I'll bet you he'll have a human girlfriend.
Oh, no.
But they, like, won't interact or whatever the hell, like, what always happens. So they just, like, talk to each other weirdly.
God.
But for some reason, she's his girlfriend.
And doesn't get arrested for bestiality for no particular reason.
Yep.
Oh, jeez. You've made it even worse for me now. How the fuck did you manage that?
Because that's what always happens. He always somehow, like, has a human girlfriend. But the thing is, it's an anime. Yeah, like in the older shows.
Really? I thought that only happened
I'm like
in Sonic 06.
99% sure.
Oh.
No, I don't think it was ever in the games. Aside, maybe Sonic 06.
Sonic 06.
Was that his girlfriend? Is that his girlfriend?
They kissed.
Ew, what the hell?
I know.
Oh my god. Oh my god, that reminds me. Have you seen... It's in one of the Wii Sonic games, like, you know, that, like, Black Knight series or whatever the hell?
Yeah.
Someone in Tech Raptor, like, a month ago shared the end of one of the games, and it's a CGI cutscene. And Sonic's, like, he's dead serious. This isn't ironic at all. He walks into, like, the tower where she is, and he's like, if I could, I'd wish for 1,000,000 handkerchiefs so you could stop crying, or something like that. He, like, literally says, I wish for 1,000,000 handkerchiefs. And they rain from the sky. I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking send this to you.
Oh, God, that's fucking horrendous. Oh, no.
I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs, yeah. Oh my god, it's the funniest thing. And it's like completely, it's not ironic in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's very real. I'm just gonna throw that right there. Ah, wow, that was a terrible link. Hold on.
The fact that you use Bing link makes me
pays for my offended. Xbox Live.
I am offended on a personal level that you use Bing.
Haven't we went over this?
You disgust me.
I went over this with so many people. I don't know who knows and who doesn't. But it pays for my Xbox Live, okay?
Tut.
I literally don't have to pay
How
for Xbox Live.
How does that even work? You use
because
Bing
I get reward points. And I use the internet so much because of work. Yeah. And you get rewards. You redeem your reward points. Yeah.
What for? Just for using Bing?
Yeah.
Is that how desperate
searching.
they are for people to use their shit search engine?
Yep. And it's fucking working, son. Sometimes though, like when I'm like working and like Bing isn't working, I'll just open a Google window and I'll just work from Google. But
you should be ashamed for using that thing. It is
a
pile of
it's temporary
cankers.
It's temporary.
Of course it is. While I look at that, would you like to know who is executive producer of this film?
Steven Spielberg.
No. We have director of Deadpool, Tim Miller.
What?
As executive producer
what?
of the Sonic the Hedgehog film.
Are you kidding me? You know, Deadpool was his first movie, his first full-length movie.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. But you know what's even more? What's pretty funny is that he's got kicked off of Deadpool 2 because he was apparently trying to make it like too flashy and too CGI or something.
He got.
So this
I know
is what
there's
he's
a
on now.
split. Yeah. Oh god.
This is why he went from Deadpool 2 to this. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To be fair, that actually makes me a bit more hopeful. A tiny bit. But I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs.
I've just got to that line. Oh, wow.
Like, that's real!
Shara, will you grant me one more wish? I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs. Now, just let yourself cry, as much as you need to. You'll have plenty of handkerchiefs to help you through it.
That's gonna be the Sonic movie right there.
I feel myself wanting to be sick. That's fucking awful. Oh god. I'm gonna have to put that on the screen while people are... Well, that's all.
Yeah.
Just to show
Yeah.
people the awfulness of that.
Like,
Jesus.
that sounds like something I wouldn't believe someone if they just told me that
That
exists.
sounds like something that people don't talk like that.
Yeah.
That's not something people say or do. That's just hideous. Oh god. Anyway, do you know what the funny thing is about this though? Because they've announced the Mario film,
Oh, right.
and this is gonna be like back in the 80s again because it's Mario and Sonic fighting each other again.
Yeah, except
get the-
one is way down this time.
Well, yeah, it's a bit. Ugh.
Because there was a point when Sonic was more popular than Mario. And then
Yeah, for like 2 games.
Yeah, I know. Well, then the creator left or something, right? Isn't that what happened? And then it just all went to shit.
Maybe, but yeah,
Someone left. I just don't remember who it was.
anyone with common sense.
Yeah, it's pretty drastic though. Like, one person leaves and suddenly the entire series is just dead. Like, damn.
Oh, so yeah, that's the Sonic movie is going to be a thing. It doesn't look like it's going to be a good thing.
You never know.
Let's just move on. No, go on. Go on. Do you have any thoughts then? Any ideas of how the Sonic movie might be?
I don't expect it to be good. I don't think anyone does. But I mean,
I don't expect
we didn't
anything
expect
to
the
be good.
Lego movie to be good. Remember the Lego movie? We all thought that was gonna be shit.
I expected that to be quite good because I have faith in
Really?
Lego.
I didn't expect it to be.
I
remember
I've
people were
watched
like,
things
"What
like
the
their
hell?"
little Lego Batman shorts are quite funny, so I expected something half decent from them.
Fair. But that movie was incredible.
Yes,
Regardless.
it is a very good
That
film,
movie
and
was... Yeah.
I'm a bit biased in that regard because I own a Lego town.
Fair point. But
Yeah.
that could have just been a fucking advertisement like the Emoji Movie.
Oh, it was. That's basically
I mean, it could
what
have
that
been
film
like...
was.
I know,
it
but
was
I'm
just
saying
a
it could
big
have been
advert for
nothing
Lego.
more. It was.
Oh right,
but
yeah, but it
good.
was actually a good film as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got a Lego set the other day. It's from the Lego
enough.
Batman movie. It's the Penguin's car.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's really cool. Penguin car Lego.
Or I guess
it's-
like the Facebook movie. We thought that was going to be bad too. It wasn't.
The Facebook. Oh, do you mean?
The Social Network.
Oh, I didn't watch that because I don't care.
Oh, that's
I
one of
don't
my
like
favorite
Mark
movies of all
Zuckerberg, so-
time.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't portray him well.
No.
Let me tell you.
That's the Lego set that I bought the other day.
Holy shit, that's way bigger than I thought it would be.
It's really
Like,
cool.
I guess more built in, yeah, like more intense.
It's really
That's
pretty.
awesome.
Yeah. It came with a Batman, so I took one of the gargoyles that I put on top of the Parisian restaurant, sort of had the one in the middle knocked off, and then Batman
Okay.
standing there instead.
That's awesome.
I thought it was quite fun. Anyway, so yeah, Sonic is probably going to be shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next story.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
Yeah,
if you
never
got something
mind.
to say.
I was just gonna say, Angry Birds I heard wasn't terrible. I heard it's alright.
I
didn't
heard it
watch
was
I don't want to.
appalling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I heard
I've
it was
heard that
alright.
it has a really sort of awful. Oh, there was a really weird, awful message in it, like really sort of almost propaganda-like message in it.
No way. That's awesome.
It's a bit weird. Anyway,
Well, I'm gonna go on the Rotten Tomatoes.
let's move on.
Oh, that's a 43. Okay. Yep, moving on.
Yeah. So you know how piracy's a bit shit?
Just a tad.
Yeah, little bit. You know how anti-piracy measures are also a little bit shit?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't work and they just get in the way of everyone's experience.
Right.
Yeah. Someone's taken that a little bit too far.
And who is that someone?
The someone is Flight Sim Labs. They develop add-ons.
I know them.
Do you? Okay.
No.
Okay. They develop add-ons for the Microsoft Flight Simulator games, which are, by all accounts, good.
Yeah, they're fun.
Never got into flight sims. I don't know why. They seem like something I'd like.
They do. I played one for class in high school. That's the only reason I have any experience with it. But they do
The
seem
only
like
one
something
I've
that would be up
ever-
your alley.
Yeah, the only one of them I've ever remotely got into was, it was called, I think it was X-Plane, and it was on, I had it on my iPod Touch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like, I had it for a while, and then I just don't anymore because I don't have anything on my iPod apart from music now. So yeah, I only have music on my iPod now, so I don't have it anymore. But I was just like, for ages I just played that, and I don't know why. But that's the only flight simulator I've had any proper experience with, and I can't really think of a reason why that is. But yeah, so
Sorry,
this...
Sully just posted in the news chat. He was like, what on earth to the Sonic thing?
Oh no.
Lord. But yeah, piracy.
Piracy, yeah. So this developer decided to, in an effort to combat pirates. I say pirates. According to Casey in our Discord, he said it was to combat specifically one guy. Now,
Really?
Because yeah, I don't know whether or not that's true, but I want that to be true because that's fucking funny.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, to combat one person's piracy, they added in what was effective, in fact not effectively, it was actually some malware into this bit of DLC. And this isn't just for pirate copies, there is a bit of malware in this DLC that when activated can harvest the personal data of that person on their computer.
Yep.
Which is illegal. That is an illegal thing to do in most countries. I suspect in the country where this DLC was developed as well.
Yeah.
So they've broken the law, and there's several different laws they've broken by doing this. So
Well, can we read the quote that they said in response to this?
Oh, go on. I'll let you read it.
Okay. While the majority of our customers understand that the fight against piracy is a difficult and ongoing battle that sometimes requires drastic measures, we realize that a few of you were uncomfortable with this particular method, which might be considered to be a bit heavy-handed on our part.
Heavy-handed? virus on people's computers deliberately.
Oh my god.
Right.
Oh, this wasn't on accident?
No.
Oh, this was on purpose. Okay,
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
It was malware. They said it was DRM, but it's actually a piece of malware that does this thing. It only activates when it detects that the version of the game you're playing is pirated. But what if that piece of malware got activated accidentally?
Which could totally happen.
I'm gonna say, that is not beyond the bounds of reason. If someone even remotely decides to mod the files on this bit of DLC...
Which I'm sure they do.
Exactly. Then that might trigger the malware to activate. So, that's... There's heavy-handed, in air quotes, and then there's this. This is a whole other level of what the fuck.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah. It's bad. It's real bad. The software extracts all of the affected user's personal information stored in Google Chrome, the browser, which can include passwords, billing information, and other data. So technically, wouldn't bother me because I store nothing in Chrome at all. Because I'm very security conscious.
Fair.
So, yeah. This guy is probably going to get sued by somebody.
Is it one dude? Or just the dude that talked?
I don't know.
Yeah, either way, someone from this team is going to get sued.
Yeah, someone's
Most
getting
likely.
some sort of legal action taken against them, whether it's by a country or a group of people, because what they have done is quite explicitly illegal.
Yep. I don't know
They have,
who thought
however...
it wouldn't be.
Pardon?
I don't know who thought that, like, it wasn't, or like who thought this was a good idea.
Them, apparently.
Yeah.
They have, however, apologized, and they've detailed how the installer works, and they've offered refunds and released an updated version of the DLC that got rid of that.
Woo.
Yeah. Its founder admitted that they maintain they didn't keep or share any extracted personal information, so it's just a sort of threat. Empty threat, really. Like, they
Right.
had the data, but they just deleted it. But its founder admitted that its attempts at warding off the pirates may have been a breach of trust. No. You don't say. Like, not only does this breach several piracy-based laws and computer, like, internet-based laws, there are actually antitrust laws. And I think that this breaks a couple of those.
Okay. Just a lot of illegal things that should be common sense to not do
Yeah,
this, but
don't transfer malware onto people's computers.
pretty much.
Just, it's pretty easy.
Apparently not.
top comment on this article that we're reading it from. Even though this is stupid as hell, it just serves to prove that most DRM systems are hardly discernible from actual malware. The only difference is who provides it.
Ooh, damn. That's
Hot
savage.
damn. Second comment, thought this was going to be an article about Denuvo. Whey. Yeah, fuck
True,
DRM, incidentally. I know piracy's a thing and it's bad and whatever, but fuck DRM, because it fucks with games.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just expect these things to happen nowadays. I don't know. Like,
True. So, yeah,
thing after thing.
it is. It's a shit thing. So,
Yeah.
It's at least fixed now, but something tells me that
Only 'cause
that
it
company
got
might well not be making many more Microsoft Flight Simulator add-ons now.
Yeah.
Let's
Fair point.
Let's move on. So, Nintendo. Now, there's a thing about Nintendo well, there's a few things about Nintendo that are a bit shit. Let's be fair, you know, the Switch is good. There's good games on the Switch. They're not a perfect company. Stop pretending that they are. Their stance on Let's Plays is a prime example of that. And
they're very protective of their IP. Or IPs.
Yes, exactly. So, on the Switch, or this is on Nintendo platforms in general, refunds are very difficult to get in general. And now, this isn't a thing that should be difficult to get, and it's only a thing that things like Steam have managed to get right in the last few years. Sony have also got it right. Microsoft haven't either, you know, in the interests of being fair and balanced about this. Nintendo aren't the only company that do this. Alright, fun. But, in a rather specific accusation, the Norwegian government have accused Nintendo of breaking the law, whether they mean their law or European law, over their pre-order refund policy, which means if you pre-order a game from the Nintendo eShop, you waive your right to get a refund within 14 days.
What?
That's not legal. Like,
that's dumb.
That's genuinely not legal.
You can't not allow a refund for a product you don't have.
Well, it's, even then, like, if you then get the product and you decide you don't want it, you can't refund it.
Yeah, that I'm used to, honestly, with digital. As trash as that is.
Well, you know, you download a trashy game, most people aren't going to refund them. But then you got things like the Switch port of WWE 2K18 that runs at literally half the speed.
Right.
Like, that game is broken beyond belief, and they are showing no signs of fixing it. And several people can't get refunds because apparently they have waived their right to a refund, even though European law specifically states that if a product doesn't work as intended, then the consumer is entitled to a full refund. It very explicitly states that.
Lord.
Yeah.
Well, there was an update where Nintendo was like, yeah, we're fine. The operation of the Nintendo eShop in Europe is fully compliant with European laws regarding the statutory rights of customers, but Snowy actually had some insight on that.
Yes, because Norway isn't part of the EU and doesn't necessarily follow European laws. They can have their own different laws in some respects. Mind you, a lot of European countries can. Shut the fuck up, Brexiteers. You know, just putting that out there. But most countries follow these European laws because they're fucking sensible. Sorry,
Fair
just
point.
a little side rant there. That's a different topic entirely that pisses me off.
Let's record a podcast on it.
No. That would be a terrible mistake.
I'd love it.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure quite a few GameCast people or fans would like it, but at the same time, a lot of people wouldn't, and I would get very angry.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But Nintendo aren't actually the only company that are under fire from what is the Norwegian Consumer Council. They're the equivalent of I can't remember the consumer rights thing we have in this country. What's the one that you have? I'm sure there's one.
The consumer rights thing?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Anyway, it found of the 7 leading digital video game platforms, only Origin and Steam have adequate systems in place for refunding purchased video games. But apparently Nintendo quote, stands out from the rest when it comes to pre-ordering, because even with Microsoft's system, if you pre-order a game, you can still get it refunded. It's a ball ache, but you can get it refunded.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. But
yeah. Quote.
I can't believe they allow that.
Yeah. To quote the NCC specifically, the company plainly states that all purchases are final. According to the right of withdrawal laid down in the Consumer Rights Directive, such terms are illegal. Until the game can be downloaded and launched, the seller cannot prohibit the customer from cancelling their pre-order. So, yeah. Like, if you pre-ordered a Switch game from somewhere like Game or GameStop, then you could cancel that pre-order, theoretically. But if you buy it through Switch's e-store, then no, you can't. So... no. That's not legal. And
but
to be honest...
is the future.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it legal.
The
funny thing is, Nintendo were trying to tell a government what their own laws are.
Yeah.
I think they know better
Honestly,
than you, Nintendo.
That sounds to me like they're just trying to say that to see if they'll give up, and then they obviously won't, and then Nintendo's actually gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's honestly what that sounds like to me.
European refund law. If you buy goods in a shop, you have no EU legal right to return the goods unless the item is faulty. However, many shops voluntarily allow customers to return or exchange goods during a certain period of time.
Does that include digital stuff, though?
Let's have a look.
Because I'd imagine digital has its own fucking rules.
In the EU, you have the right to return... This is for returns of orders and purchases made outside shops, online, by phone, or mail order. In the EU, you have the right to return these purchases within 14 days for a full refund. You can do so for any reason, even if you simply change your mind. The 14-day cooling off period does not apply to all purchases. Some exemptions are plane tickets, goods and drinks delivered to you by regular delivery, for example, by a milkman. Goods made... Well, so you can't just go, I don't want this milk anymore, have it back.
Right.
Goods made to order or clearly personalised, such as a tailor-made suit. Sealed audio, video or computer software, such as DVDs, you have unsealed upon receipt. Digital content, if you have already started downloading or streaming it. Goods bought from a private individual rather than a company. Urgent repairs and maintenance contracts. So if you call a plumber, you can't cancel the work once you've agreed upon the price. I
nice.
Know that. So
you need that in freelance world.
Yes. So the only things there that might relate to the Nintendo eStore include online digital content, but that specifically states if you've already started downloading or streaming it.
Do you download a game when it's pre-ordered? Does that work on Switch?
No, you don't.
Okay.
So that's not correct for them then. And the other one that might apply to them is sealed audio, video, or computer software, such as DVDs, which you have already unsealed upon receipt. But again, no. That doesn't apply here, because it's a pre-order.
And, again, Norway might have different rules in general.
Yeah. I know that our laws in Britain are a little bit more strict than that, actually, when it comes to refunds.
Fair enough. That's how they should be.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, it's... Nintendo are actually just unequivocally wrong here. just gonna say that. They are wrong about this. They literally have no right to refuse your refund or cancelling a pre-order. Ooh.
We'll see about that one.
Yes, we shall. That might lead to Nintendo's refund policy actually being overhauled, which would be nice, you know.
And then hopefully Microsoft's. They told me when I got the refund for Monster Hunter, because of that whole code ordeal, they originally said, it was so weird because I was in the chat with the person, like the text chat, and like the store page says no refunds. But the reason I actually looked it up is because I remember they did like an insider update where they were testing refunds exactly like Steam's, like fucking last summer or something. And I guess nothing ever came of that. But so I went in, and the lady on the other side, she was talking so robotic. It almost sounded like I was talking to an AI, or looked like, because I was reading it. It was text. But and she was like, "Yeah, we don't offer refunds on digital products, but I'm gonna try and get this refunded for you. All right?" And I was like, okay, thanks. That sentence contradicts itself, but okay. And basically there was this whole ordeal, and I kept like telling her, I was like, no, like I told her I got another copy in the mail and like it's on its way. Like I bought a physical copy. But then she goes, all right, well, just so you know, we offer one refund every 365 days per account. So just know that this is your only refund for the year or something. And I was just
so
like,
now you can't get anything refunded until the 22nd of February next year.
Right. Well, this was like when the game came out, but yeah. So it was like 3 weeks ago now. But the worst part is like she was trying to tell me otherwise. So if I didn't fight her, I wouldn't have even gotten that refund. Like my one refund a year.
The funny thing is, I'll bet if you rang up like later in the year to get another refund, they'd probably give it to you.
Right? They probably would. And you know what she said?
Do you know what it probably is?
She was like, what?
I think it's probably that they're told to not give you a refund unless you insist or like you argue
fucked up
for it. Yeah. But you know.
You know what she told me?
Go on.
This was just like a support group or a support chat where like there's no like interaction. Like I have no idea who she was. There's no contact information. She goes, would you send us a photo of the physical copy when you get it? With like a smiley face. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. And like then the chat just ended. I even if I got a physical copy, I have no idea how I would have sent them an image of it. I don't know who I would have sent that to or anything. So it's just kind of like, sure. That obviously didn't happen, but it's skeezy, honestly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like it's shitty. It's stupid. It makes no sense. Like this shouldn't have been an issue in the first place. It should have just been able to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Consumers should be entitled to refunds for their goods, especially if they don't work properly, Nintendo. So that's
and especially if we're trying to make digital like the thing to do now. Like
I know you've got to add consumer rights to that.
Like they never lowered the prices. Games have no reason to be 60 digital. There's no reason.
No, they don't.
There's no shipping or anything. And they said like that's one of the advantages of digital when all this shit started, like back in fucking 2013. That's obviously not the case.
I find it funny that you believed they'd even lower them.
Fair point. Well, this was like before it was even like out, so we had every reason to believe that. But I mean, Steam to a point does it, and like you still have like GOG and like Green Man Gaming and all that stuff. Like they do it. Like I just saw an ad literally for Amazon Prime. If I pre-order it with if I pre-order Kingdom Hearts 3 with Amazon Prime, I get 20% off. Like that's awesome. Like, and that's physical. Now that I think about it, actually, that's a physical game still, and I'm still getting 20% off. So digital should be that way. That's really dumb. That's really, really dumb. And I just, that honestly, that opens up the whole argument of like digital versus physical, that sort of shit. We should have a split screen on that. Snowy, you should be on it.
Yeah, why not? That sounds fun.
Because Mark and I want to start doing like 1v3s and like 2v1s and stuff. Or like 2v2s on it.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, refunds should be a thing, and they're not, and that's disappointing. And let's move on to a funny story. Hooray! Yay! Positive!
Sort of.
Yeah. We'll start with the negative bit, though, first, because it's about paladins, and that's not negative in and of itself. Don't know why I phrased it like that. But paladins got an update recently that adds in loot boxes, which in a free-to-play game wouldn't be the end of the world just on its own, because, it's a free game. It had microtransactions, but, loot boxes might be a little extra sort of... I don't know if add-on's the right word. That might be, I don't know, be more palatable anyway than just in a full-price game. But these loot boxes are not just little sort of cosmetic things. They actually contain things that affect the game and the gameplay, making it technically a pay-to-win game. Which is lovely.
It's almost as if they didn't pay attention to the industry they exist in over the past, 7 years or so.
They got their head in the sand. I just didn't notice any of the whole controversy around all of that stuff.
Pretty much.
Who needs to pay attention to things, eh?
Yep. I don't understand the logic here, but yeah, go on with the story.
So, this, quite rightly, annoyed quite a few fans of this game, because, let's be honest, it's a very popular game, because it's basically an Overwatch-style game, but for free. So, that's going to attract quite a lot of people, rightly so. I've been tempted to play it for a while. I'm not going to now, but I've been tempted to.
That went out the window.
Yeah, pretty much. And in what is possibly the best response to this kind of thing that I've ever seen, instead of people getting righteously angry and in just all the righteous indignation in the world hurled at this game, the subreddit for Paladins has been flooded with very poor fan art of the characters of the game to protest this Cards Unbound update.
Yep.
It's the best thing.
It's funny as hell.
It's so funny.
It's just a bunch of shit.
Yeah. Almost all of these posts are being... Sorry, I just found another funny one. Almost all of these posts are put under the humour tag in the subreddit, which you can filter out if you just want to... if you just want to look at the certain bits, basically. This does come... I'm just going to skip ahead to the end of this story. Do you know why? It worked.
I would hope so.
The shit fan art worked. They removed the update.
I would have been weirded out if they didn't. That would have been really bad.
This is true. Let's go. Hey, loads of crap fan art. Yay!
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, they've actually completely got rid of the
IGN
update.
Reported on this.
So it seems that it's worked, and positive things have happened. Wow.
Oh, this is High Res Studios. I didn't know this. This is the guys that make Smite. And people like Smite. Smite has a very, happy fan base.
Yeah.
So that's really surprising to hear.
That is.
Also, this update was introduced back in November. Why is this news coming out now?
I think the specific loot boxes were introduced after that.
Oh, okay.
One of the comments at the moment, so do we flood this subreddit with really good art now?
That's actually a really funny comment.
That is well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, to be honest, great.
Yeah. Shouldn't have happened.
Let's talk about the shit fan art more because it's fucking hilarious. I just want to talk about shit fan art because it's amazing.
You should throw it in the public chat.
Oh yeah, I will. In a minute.
It's literally just it's like high quality scribbles. Basically.
Pretty much. It's just yeah, the stuff that you just expect, I don't know, someone who's just starting drawing. Me, for example, to draw.
There you go.
Something I draw. I'm that shit at drawing.
Same.
Yeah.
It's like memes. They basically look like trash memes.
It is. It's the trash meme stuff, like the old Rage comics.
Yeah.
Oh, do you remember them when they were the memes?
The good old days.
Memes at
Actually,
the moment.
I'd say memes are in a good place.
I like the current sort of crop.
Memes are good.
So yeah, it's just the best crap fan art you can ever think of. That doesn't sound quite right when you think about it, does it? The best crap fan art. Doesn't make a lot of sense, really, does it?
You'll understand the second you see them.
Oh yeah, I'll probably put.
It'll
some
make
on the
perfect
screen.
sense.
But yeah. Or go and watch my news video where I did a proper art montage. I even used that sort of weird art montage music that everyone knows.
That's amazing.
You know, the one that no one ever knows the name of, but it's the art montage music.
I have an idea, yes.
Yeah. It's pretty great. So, yeah. That's the brilliant response, though.
Yeah, it is.
To a bad thing, to respond instead of being like with actually
and the fact that it worked.
Funny things like that. Just a sort of mass community. Not even a shout, just a sort of weird fucking what the hell. Brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And
yeah, it is.
And it worked. So yes. Hooray! Happy
Congrats,
news
team.
to end on. Congratulations, Paladins fans. You may well get me back on board. That brings us to the end of another GameCast newscast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever you fancy. And if you're watching on the Twitch broadcast, you know...
Hello.
Hello. Hope you're enjoying it. We're about halfway through at the moment. I think that's where this falls. Yeah. Just keep watching for more stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, hi again. And hope you enjoyed it. You know, stay tuned to GameCast for lots of brilliant content. We're making some good stuff at the moment. And yeah, it's all good stuff. Apparently I've been saying lovely too much, according to Hillary. So I'm making a conscious effort to not say lovely as much.
That's amazing.
Exactly. It's a bit weird. Anyway, thank you very much, Max, for joining me again.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. And I'm going to try and get Vox on next week. It's a long shot, but I'd like to have him back on at some point. I miss him too. Don't tell him that. He'll get it. He'll get it. The ego. We won't be able to handle that.
Vox doesn't have an ego.
No. To be fair, I come across like I have much more of an ego than I actually do.
Yeah, but it's funny and we know you're joking.
True. So anyway, yes, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Goodbye!
Goodbye, everyone!
Bye, Dr. Nick.
Late to the broadcast and miss your favorite show? Fear not, we've got you covered. The GameCast YouTube channel contains all of your past and present shows on demand for you to view at a time of your convenience. The space also serves as a portal of sorts for you to discover what your favorite GameCast personalities are creating outside of the GameCast world. Simply click the link below for the past and present on demand, with a side bonus of content from your favorite GameCast personalities.
Split Screen is a show where we pick a certain topic within the current gaming climate and provide two differing opinions on that topic while trying to reach some sort of compromise. I'm your host Max, also known as Maximal.
And I'm Mark, also known as Koistorch. For example, I might say that yearly franchise releases are slowly killing the industry,
while I might say that yearly releases keep the franchise relevant while something bigger is worked on in the background.
Of course, we also encourage feedback and want your thoughts on the day's topic, and future topics you'd like us to tackle as well.
Ready, fight!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Split Screen. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Mark. How's it going, Mark?
I'm good. I'm a little riled up today. How are you doing?
Well, good. That's what we need out of you. I'm doing well as well. For those who don't know, Split Screen is a new show on GameCast where we present two opposing opinions and we try to come to some sort of conclusion on them, or at least get them fleshed out enough to where the other person can make a stance on it. So today we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter World, and Mark is a huge Monster Hunter fan. You know, he's been playing the series for as long as it's been around?
I remember picking up the PS2 original, not knowing what the F it was. But
That's awesome.
It's kind of love at first sight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Whereas Monster Hunter World is my first ever Monster Hunter game, unfortunately, just because I haven't owned any Nintendo systems since the Wii, and I wasn't aware of it when I was a kid. So we're kind of going to be talking about the differences that Monster Hunter World has made compared to the rest of the games in the series, because it is seen as sort of a casualization in a way, kind of like how Final Fantasy 15 is a bit polarizing because it's seen as like a Final Fantasy for new and old fans. So I'm going to be taking the side of the newer fans of Monster Hunter, obviously, and the newer players, whereas Mark is going to be talking about the kind of older games and kind of how they compare to the new ones. So Mark, do you want to start with what pisses you off the most? We'll just go from there.
So Monster Hunter's obviously made quite a huge leap in terms of just mechanics, graphics, everything like that. Graphics being the major thing that it definitely needed. But they've made a number of quality of life changes that half of them are good, half of them are bad. Some of them are sort of necessary in the way that they're structuring it, but it sort of rubs me the wrong way because this franchise is like a decade old. So it's sort of hard to reimagine it just at the drop of a hat.
Right.
So basically what I noticed right out of the gate was that they'd gotten rid of the paintball system from the previous Monster Hunters. And for people that don't know, the paintball system is a system of marking your target once you've found them and then tracking them throughout the map with this paintball that you've pressed onto their skin. And it's interesting because you had to first find where the monster hides out properly, take a bunch of paintballs because they can wear out, and then progressively like checking your map to make sure that your paintball hadn't run out, and sort of just comparing your notes and things like that. And it sort of gave the actual pre-battle and post-battle sort of hunt an actual vibe of you were tracking this beast through the wild.
Right.
Whereas in Monster Hunter World, they've done it a bit differently, how there's this new system called the Scout Flies, where you gather tracks and scratches and things like that of monsters and then progressively build a gauge, and once that gauge is filled, the Scout Flies will lead you directly to that monster. And
a bit more streamlined, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little more streamlined. But my sort of complaint is that the Scout Flies get in the way of sort of like they get in the way of the map itself, because sometimes when there are 10 or so interactable tracks or items all around, you see nothing but particle effects filling your entire screen, and the Scout Flies basically highlight the entire path, and you're not really remembering that that's the correct route on, say, repeat missions. And then you're sort of not really experiencing the environment or learning from the environment. You're just following a direct path. And it kind of takes the thrill out of the hunt. Like, the fights themselves are fantastic, but that was always half of the game as well. And so the Scout Flies just sort of, they're necessary because the maps are gigantic, but they're annoying because they take out that initial thrill the first time you find a monster and hunt it.
You really think they take out the initial thrill the first time you hunt it? Because I'd say that my thing with the flies is that while I agree they can get kind of confusing when there's just stuff all over the map and everything like that, I will say it makes it much easier for me, someone that is trying to not necessarily blow through the game, but like make decent progress every time I'm sitting down, because each freaking round is 50 minutes. I know it doesn't take 50 minutes. Honestly, on average, it probably takes me 20 to 30 minutes to hunt a monster. But I feel like that time would be greatly exemplified if I had to be tracking it down and chasing it every single time. Like, these flies make it so that I can just kind of run through the map and find the monster and just start getting the actual gameplay and the hunt going. Because I feel like later on in the game, it can be getting kind of tiresome to just constantly be tracking the monster and just like having to paintball it, I guess, like that you were saying earlier. It's like that's an extra step that I feel like isn't necessarily necessary. Now that the Scout Flies have kind of removed that extra step, you could just kind of keep chasing it. It makes it so you don't have to, that there's not another thing to maintain, I guess it is. It makes it a bit easier for me to just like focus on the hunt rather than just tracking things the whole time.
Yeah, like that's the thing that always confuses me about scout flies, is that I can absolutely see how necessary they are in the structure of this Monster Hunter. And it might be because I've come from, like, say, 6 or 7 previous games using the paintballs that I feel this sort of like resistance to the change. But like the way maps used to be structured was like, say, 10 or 11 separate loading screens between little areas. Whereas in Monster Hunter World, it's one seamless map that's multi-tiered and all sorts of different things. And paintballs were sort of necessary because you'd be like, oh, the monster's in area 12. That's pretty easy to get to that spot. But in World, scout flies need to be there, even though I don't like it, because the monster could be in, say, area 12, but area 12 has 5 floors, and you don't know which one that is because you can't get to the, say, 5th floor from the bottom floor. You need to go back around to area 5 and then go up this specific tree route and curve around. But you wouldn't know that unless the scout flies told you. Whereas like in the other ones, you'd sort of figure it out by exploring the environment, and the environments weren't as complex. So it's one of those necessary things that it just burns me a little.
I definitely think that they make the game much more accessible and playable.
There are a couple other like there's one big change and one small change that are just a little bit confusing or a little bit frustrating in terms of progression. So one of the small ones that is slightly annoying is the size of the HUD itself. And
the HUD or the hub?
The HUD.
Okay.
The hub is gigantic.
Yeah, I was about to say.
The heads-up display. In previous Monster Hunters, you had a mini-map showing you every single area, but that's because the maps were small, so it was pretty easy to divide that. And then you've got your life meter and your stamina meter, and they were about half the size of the screen and then could be upgraded to reach the actual edge of the screen. And they did that so you could always tell how much health you had left, how much damage you were dealing, how your stamina was doing, and all sorts. In Monster Hunter World, your life meter takes up a very small portion of the screen, and it's not always visible. It's only visible when you're in combat. And sometimes you might accidentally run out of stamina or get on critical stamina outside of combat and not really realize it until it's too late. And it's hard sort of like glancing to the left quickly during a battle just to see how your stats are doing. Like I felt that to be a bit jarring or a bit annoying as a quality of life change. Like it makes the rest of the world look so much prettier. But I like to be able to check how I'm doing at all times.
I guess definitely when it comes to the market I feel like World is targeted at, though, I think that makes it less overwhelming for them. Because I feel like when you see like these giant health bars and giant stamina bars in JRPGs and stuff like that, that can turn people off, because I think that also just makes them think it's a massive time investment, which is a turnoff in and of itself. I know initially, I feel like once people pick up the game and kind of get into it and everything, they kind of don't think about the time investment because they're having so much fun, because this game is fucking dope. But I feel like part of that was done because the world is so beautiful, and the developers want to show it off, but also because the heads-up display is a subtle but very important thing in the long run, especially to gamers who are just, again, the targeted audience here, gamers who have never really played a Monster Hunter game, or maybe have never really played these types of games in general, like JRPGs and stuff like that. So this is it's just another streamlined sort of, not necessarily casualized. I feel like that's not the best word, but I guess for lack of a better word, the streamlined approach to the HUD, and just kind of having all the important stuff available to you otherwise just there, whereas the health and stamina really aren't that important when you're just running around. Even though I get what you mean about that stamina when you're running, like you could run out before a battle. That actually happens to me a lot, and I can't disagree with you there. That's freaking annoying.
Yeah, I think it might be a thing of like, it is absolutely accessible, and you do need to see the world because it is a huge improvement over previous games. But I think even with scout flies as well, I think it could apply to both. I think it could be a sort of toggle feature in the menu Like if you had, oh, do I want the original HUD from previous Monster Hunters? Or do I want to keep it as the world style? Or do I want to enable paintballs? Or not necessarily enable paintballs, but disable the amount of scout flies that sort of like crowd around a path, because sometimes, depending on the path, it can really get in the way.
That would be a pretty easy fix to all this, wouldn't it? Just giving us the choice. I'm kind of surprised that's not an option.
Yeah, like a quick patch, especially for like health meter and stuff, I think would be cool, even if it's just a toggle to keep the health meter always visible.
Right. That makes
because
sense.
sometimes, if, like you've probably noticed it as well, outside of battle, if like say the monster ran away and you're already hurt, you'll see like the little diamond of your health flashing, but you can't see your meter anymore
until you use like a potion or something.
Yeah, and like sometimes you'd be like, oh well, I could have gone without the potion, or like I wouldn't have really known. Like I think that should be a toggle.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. But I also see the point behind why they did what they did. I think to them, at the end of the day, the casualization or the streamlining is the most important to them, so they could appeal to the biggest audience. Also, that may have just been straight up an oversight on their part, like not adding in a toggle option or anything like that. I really wonder what that is, because I agree. I think a toggle option just would have been best, because that's definitely a preferential thing. And it does seem weird to me that that's just not an option. At least the health part. Like scout flies, I think that's a little bit more of like an investment to add an option in it, even though I could see that as well. But I am just straight up surprised there's no option for like the health bar stuff, because that's a pretty customizable thing in most games when it comes to HUDs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like previous Monster Hunters, especially like the 3DS ones, you could completely readjust the HUD and move all meters and all inventory items onto the bottom screen, or like only display certain information on each screen. So like for such a customizable experience, not having that feature seems just a little bit odd. But it seems like it is an easy patch if they choose to.
Damn, they really just want us playing the game and not doing anything else, huh? I wonder.
They do make it easy.
Yeah. Well, I guess again, this goes back to the streamlining. When you when you go back to the hub and stuff like that, there is so much you are maintaining in this type of game. You know, every time you go back to the HUD, there's a bunch of things to kind of check on, and then every time you finish like a main quest, there's a thing added on to that. You know, you're juggling different weapon upgrades, armor upgrades, all these different types. Your palicos, you're trying out different weapons. You know, you're doing different cultivations. You're trying out different meals, different quests, all sorts of stuff. So I feel like they just did whatever they could to minimize any of the tediousness, like the paintballs and stuff like that, and just put all the tediousness in like the hub world and that sort of stuff. So when you're out playing the game, you're just out playing the game. You're not dealing with anything else. Then when you get back into the hub and everything, that's when it's like, all right, I'm going to spend an hour doing this, and this. But you could also, for players who don't want to do that, you could also just kind of jump back into the world. You know, you could do a few quick things. Like one thing I think is really nice, like when you go to the chest, you can like craft at the chest, which is really nice. You can change your equipment. You could do a bunch of stuff right there, and they have like the chests all over the hub and stuff like that. I don't know if that was a previous thing in games, but I think that's a really nice touch, and like them kind of putting that all there is nice in the long run, I'd say.
Yeah, like you could access your chest and stuff like that in the hub and all sorts before, but you didn't have access to a chest at every like 10 steps. Like now it's
yeah,
like
they're everywhere.
Now it's like wherever you go, there's a chest.
Right.
And you can even change your weapons at camp, like mid mission, which is really good.
Yeah, that's some interesting streamlining. I like that.
Yeah, so like it's streamlining. Like for parts of the game, like for the first half of it, I felt like it was a bit too easy coming from a veteran. But like part of that comes from like, yeah, I know these monsters. But generally, they did make it easier and more accessible. But like that's the thing. Like I understand all of these choices for accessibility's sake, because the Monster Hunter needs to sell. It needs to do well.
Yeah.
But like I felt like the first half of the game was just a tiny bit too easy, even for newcomers. But once they reach high rank, which is around the last third of the game, it's like it definitely steps it up to proper Monster Hunter instead of like easing it into players. So sometimes it might be a little too jarring because you're suddenly go from like armors that have 30 defense to armors that have 50 defense, and you're like, whoa, what is this giant change? And monsters are one-shotting you and things like that, and there's no sort of there's no actual like slow progression up to that point. It just sort of like drops you. Yeah, these are the same monsters, but they're a hell of a lot stronger.
Right.
And the actual hunter rank, because like you're like once you're at the end of the game or like towards the end of the game, you're like hunter rank 12 to 15, which doesn't seem that big because post-game content can get you up to hunter rank 200.
Yep.
And that's the thing, like so much of the game, which is like where the Monster Hunter veterans will probably spend the game, is the post-game, which in previous games was called G rank, but now it's high rank or tempered beasts.
Right.
And it's just like this sort of like optional menu. There's like visually nothing changes. Like the monsters look exactly the same. They just deal 10% more damage and have 10% more health.
Right.
But it just like there's this strange disparity between the difficulty curve during story and the rest of the game.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. So it's like they kind of they tried catering to both, like whereas the casual players may just start jumping off after 30 to 40 hours in after they complete the main story because there's so many other games that come out, whereas like the dedicated Monster Hunter players, they'll just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, and like I'm hoping that like free DLC and things like that, the new monsters will keep newcomers on, because that's desperately what they need, because like hardcore Monster Hunter fans will always love Monster Hunter. That hasn't changed since day one.
Right.
But you want especially Xbox and PC players, you want them to stay because this is their first experience ever. Like a lot of PlayStation players might have already had a PSP or something and experienced the game somewhere else. How would
you say players who jump into Monster Hunter World for the first time and say they want to explore the series more, say like the most recent entry before this, which was released in the rest of the world was Generations 1, correct?
Yeah.
How would you say players who love World would play that game? How do you think they'd like it?
Yeah. So Generations would be incredibly hard for newcomers just because they introduced several completely new styles that had never been in any other Monster Hunter, and still like only in Generations or Generations 2, which was never released outside of Japan. Where it's like, say, you enter a fight and you choose a style. So guild style is the Monster Hunter we know and love. Simple special moves, like 1-button attacks, 2-button attacks, things like that. Then you've got like hunter styles, which have crazy flips with your weapons and special moves, like you've got a dashing machine gun sort of thing with your light bow gun. You've got like basically a Psycho Crusher from Street Fighter with the dual blades and charge blades swinging around like a crazy monster and things like that. And then you've got dodge styles, which are like counterattacks and things like that. It's like this very strange system that I couldn't recommend to newcomers. Like that's the problem with Generations. It's very much like if you're a veteran, then you'll appreciate the changes. That's why, like, if you were interested in getting into the franchise and wanted something similar but also very true to Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is absolutely the place to go. That's where they introduced mounting on beasts. It's got all the 15 or 16 weapon types, including the Insect Glaive and Charge Blade. It's got monster types that weren't in Monster Hunter World that will be familiar but different. It's got verticality of stages, but only like 2 layers, and you can reach those inside the same little map. And it's based, and items are very visible when you walk by them.
Yeah, unlike now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, do you think, this will be the last question, we should probably wrap it up after this. Do you think that with Monster Hunter World, Capcom has sort of created 2 different tiers of Monster Hunter fans and Monster Hunter players in games in general? Do you think they'll continue with like this world-style game with the rest of the world, and then for like the Nintendo consoles and everything, they'll still stick with like the Generations or like wherever Monster Hunter 4 ends up going next? Do you think that they'll stick, or do you think they'll try and like merge them into one or anything like that?
Yeah. I think the most likely thing is that they'll continue 2 separate paths, just because that's how that it works, and they've proven that it works. But core Monster Hunter, for whatever reason, it's always worked well on a handheld. Even though it's one of the most taxing, time-consuming things, it's always worked on the go, which I've never really understood, but it just somehow does. And that's why the Switch is probably a good place to start. But for the casual fans in Monster Hunter World and everything like that, I think that Capcom would be silly not to pursue it as it is, because clearly something's working and it's working well, and there is enough there that a veteran can still enjoy it. Because like, I might have my gripes with it, but like, I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic game. Before Capcom decide to say make World 2 or Generations 3 or whatever they want to do, I think that they'd try to patch Monster Hunter World so much that it does actually represent both sides of the coin.
Interesting.
Because like we live in this era of gaming where we can patch and can change a game quite drastically through updates. And Monster Hunter's always thrived on free DLC and free patches and things like that. So I wouldn't rule it out entirely. I think they could do something like that.
Okay. So based on what you've told me about the older games, it seems that World, I still think that World does a pretty good job catering to both new and older fans. I think it does a very, very good job of just making everyone happy, even if the older fans may not be in full support of that. But at the same time, I think that seeing the sales of this game and everything like that, and seeing just like, I'm surprised that this game has done as well as it did. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like, I'm saying I wished it did well, but like the fact that it did do this well, that it actually happened, is just amazing. I can't believe that. Well, last I checked, it hit 6 million sales. That was like last week, 2 weeks ago. I'm sure it's a couple million more.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, like, like earlier this week, I think it was like 700,000 copies were downloaded in Japan in the first week. So almost 1 million of its sales were download within one country.
Right. Which is insane. Especially in its country of, like, I guess not necessarily origin, but like where it's kind of home, especially since Generations 2 only released there. I think that makes it pretty clear that Capcom favors them.
Yeah. I mean, like Generations, to put it in perspective, Generations 2 or Double X in Japan was a Switch launch title.
There you go. And that's still not here, so it's probably not coming.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, I might have my problems with it. I do like the game. It's fantastic, and visually, it's the progression the series should have taken quite a while ago. But if I wanted to play an older Monster Hunter, or I wanted to do paintballs and all that sort again, and have that massive grind again, even though it can be annoying, I still love that grind. I'd just pick up my 3DS one again. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like the franchise is too jarring to go back, because they always had a very solid formula, and it's always had the same graphical capacity, so it doesn't feel like it's jarring to go back.
Okay. Makes sense.
So, yeah. So, like, if I wanted to, I'd just pick it up.
Well, awesome, Mark. Thanks for being on this episode of Split Screen with me, as always.
Yep. Thanks for having me. It's good to vent some of my frustrations every now and again.
No kidding. Well, yeah, anyone who's listening to the show, any Monster Hunter fans, old or new, make sure you leave your comments down below letting us know what you like or don't like about the game, any of the changes that have been made to the previous games in the series, where you think the future of the series will be headed. You know, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to join the GameCast Discord. There will be a link in the description down below where you can engage in even more chat with any of us, and we will see you all soon.
The GameCast broadcast is an ambitious project that's fueled by passionate creators that have been giving their hearts and souls, emphasis on souls, to realize TV for gamers. If you enjoy what we create for you on a weekly basis and wish to support further grow GameCast and the TV for Gamers broadcast, please consider a small donation via the GameCast Patreon page link down below. Every donation, big or small, adds up, and any support we receive will positively affect your favorite GameCast personalities and contribute towards the future growth of new entertainment for you, our fans. And remember, for just $1 a day, you can stop the abuse that we inflict upon Alex and Max that we keep locked up in our basement. Remember, for $1 a day, they may someday see sunlight again. Captain Count, we have some bogeys on our radar. Oh, no, wait, I stand corrected. They're just releases. Don't adjust your sets, the release radar is spinning up. The Count has worked tirelessly to fine-tune his radar. Lucky for you and I, his radar is capable of spotting some of the best new releases that might have slipped by otherwise.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the GC Release Radar. I've got quite some lovely releases lined up for you this week. We'll start with a very, very tiny, lovely indie game called Freeways. And this isn't something you're going to have heard of, but it is something that if you like minimalist games and you like things like city builders like I do, you're going to like this because it's a cute little game where you build freeways. And it is on a huge map, but you only do one section at a time. And it just gets bigger as you go along and more complicated, and you have to prevent it from blocking up. And you get judged based on each section how you do. And goodness, it's one of those games that ramps up very quickly. And goodness me, definitely worth playing, especially at the low price of £2.89. Why did I do it in that voice? Now, for those of you who like a bit of Lovecraft Eldritch horror, this is a game for you, most certainly. It is called Usurper, priced at $5.94 until the 27th of February, when it will be $6.99. Good little indie game price. I'm very much a fan of that. And it's a Metroidvania game with very, very strong Lovecraft elements to it. And looks very, very good. They've gone for the sprite art style in the sort of Castlevania, Symphony of the Night kind of thing, but more of an emphasis on the sort of gore and horror aspect of it. And they've kind of nailed it. There's a lot of really disgusting looking things that have been made very, very well in this game. So yeah, if you like Eldritch horror, if you like Metroidvania games like I do, then this game is definitely for you. For those of you who like stealth and furries, I have a game for you called Hack Tag. This game is a game for 2 players, can be played locally, and I think it can be played online, but I'm not entirely sure about that. You play as a little hacker team of, I'm going to say a rabbit and a fox, but I don't want to make no furry-based assumptions there. And if you like a stealth game, this is definitely your kind of thing, because you can do this sort of... There was a game that came out a while ago, and I can't remember the name of it. It was very similar to this, except it was done on a first-person perspective for the person doing the running around stealing things, and a weird camera-based perspective for the hacker. This time we've got a top-down view, and well, that's for both players, and the hacker has a more, well, blue view, I'll put it that way. This game is heavily into the whole streamer thing as well, by the look of it, with their trailers heavily featuring streamers, so you know, that might be what they're leaning on. But if you like stealth, and you have someone in your house that you can play a stealth game with, then go for this at £15.49. The last game I'm going to mention on my list made it onto the Steam top sellers list on the day it was released, so this might be a good sign. It's called Abandon Ship. It's priced at £12.74 until February 28th, when it'll go up to £15. It is in early access, and it is a naval-based strategy game where you basically build up your ship. It's going to be from like a little dinghy type thing up to a massive cannon warship, and just looks really, really fun, especially if you like strategy games. And to the best of my knowledge, there's not a huge amount of naval-based strategy games, and that seems like a market that this game is certainly going to capitalize on, and one that is ripe for the taking in my mind. This game just looks lovely. It's from a top-down perspective, but everything about it is just... oh, it looks like a really well-crafted strategy game with very good naval-based, like very realistic naval-based combat. So, if you're a fan of realistic combat, ships and strategy, go for this. Or wait for a bit until it's gone a bit further into early access, or come out of early access. We'll see. That brings us to the end of another GameCast Release Radar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, or a share. If you're watching this on the broadcast, hey, glad you're here. Hope you're enjoying it. And yes, stay tuned for more news, reviews, let's plays, podcasts, lots of lovely, lovely things. All of your gaming needs can be found here, and I will see you soon for more releases.
Is it lovely, Snow? Is it a lovely little game?
Lovely.
And the release is lovely.
Look.
Lovely.
Lovely jubbly.
Lovely jubbly.
Alright. Love it's lovely.
The GameCast Discord is the hub of the small world that is GameCast. It's a thriving community filled with gamers, GameCast personalities, and other miscellaneous people we somehow keep picking up along the way. We really don't know how to get rid of them. Not only will it keep you up to date and in the know on all things GameCast, but you will also find weekly gaming events, streams, and of course, a very salty Count Fracula, now also available in a low-sodium alternative. Coming up next, Game Changer. Explore the many weird and awesome ways you could be playing your favorite games. Hacks, mods, challenges, and glitches. Game Changer and your host Alex are sure to have it all.
What's up everyone, Alex here and welcome back to Game Changer. This is where we explore weird and awesome ways to play games. Today we are looking at some winter themed mods because tis the season. Let's get right into it. The first mod that we're looking at is the Shattered Memories Blood and Rust mod. I think this still counts. It has to do with ice and snow, so just go with it, bear with me. The second mod is the Animal Crossing Winter mod. This is a Minecraft mod, and it is based off the Mario Kart 8 Animal Crossing track. And the third mod is called the Winter Overhaul. This is a Skyrim mod, and it changes the entirety of Skyrim into a big snowy wonderland. Not like Count Fracula, not that kind of snowy wonderland. That would be cool. Just Count Fracula's raining from the sky. That would be hilarious. Also, subscribe to see more Count Fracula. He's cool. So the Shattered Memories mod replaces all of the ice and snow in the Nightmare world with blood and rust. So it's supposed to look like other Silent Hill titles. The transition to the Nightmare world still works the same way. It's just blood and rust. You see it, you know, climbing up the walls and kind of spreading everywhere or dissipating depending on what part of the game you're at. The Minecraft texture pack, which I call the mod, but it's more like a texture pack, is supposed to look like the Animal Crossing Winter stage from Mario Kart 8. It's your typical snow texture and Animal Crossing inspired trees. The creator actually remade the track from Mario Kart 8. And the Skyrim mod, the Winter Overhaul mod. I was actually really excited to cover this because it looks amazing. Literally, it's just constant snowfall and snow on the ground everywhere. Every single area in Skyrim now has snow all over the place, and all of the trees are missing their leaves and all the shrubs are dead, so it looks just cold and barren and awesome. There's a lot of detail that was put into this one. I liked the Silent Hill mod because it brings the game back to its roots. Everything is creepier, but in the best way. The Minecraft texture pack works really well for general Animal Crossing inspired maps, and I love the wood texture. I don't know what it is about the Animal Crossing trees, but I love those little donut things, the patterns on the trees. I don't know what it is, but I love it. And for the Skyrim mod, the details are fantastic, especially the environmental changes like the trees having no leaves. It emphasizes the cold northern location of Skyrim. It sort of has like a sense of wandering around alone in the cold. It's amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, come check out GameCast, see what we're doing over there. Consider subscribing. And check out my channel, which is in the description all the way at the bottom. And I am signing off for now.
Are you on the fence about a game? Maybe your friends are unhelpful and your family doesn't care? Well, we do. Come check out our reviews of games, new and old, even mods to spice things up. Gaming pastime, gaming reviews.
Hey there, my name is Max and I'm team leader of the review space here at GameCast. Our game reviews provide an in-depth look at the latest and greatest games, as well as some of our favorites from over the years. Stay tuned for this week's reviews and impressions up next.
I'm Mark, and welcome to another GameCast review. Today I'm reviewing Tekken 7, now available for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Tekken 7 is a 3D arcade fighter spanning several console generations. This is actually my first Tekken, and I was eager to jump into the series. Unfortunately, Tekken 7 isn't exactly the best starting point, as there is no tutorial to speak of, and the slight direction that the story mode gives you isn't enough to go on. Fortunately, the in-game practice mode and in-depth character move lists are enough to get you started, and there are multiple tutorial videos online for the basics of the franchise. There is a lot of trial and error for newcomers, as it performs differently to most other fighting game franchises. But, once you get a handle on the general flow of battle, things start to click. Animations flow together, and there are visible tells as to when you can continue a combo or sidestep to avoid damage. Each character plays differently to one another, and all of them have dozens of potential combos. Battles are fast, and a round can last only a few combo strings, making it hard to bounce back. Fortunately, there is a new Rage Art and Rage Drive system. Rage moves can only be performed in a critical state, and are a chance for a comeback. I quite like this system as it gave me a fighting chance early on, and gives the gameplay a bit more of a cinematic feel. Tekken 7 is filled with unlockables, ranging from accessories, costumes, artworks, and even every single cutscene from all other entries in the franchise. But the means to unlock this content lacks a little in variety. The story mode and arcade modes are fun and definitely made up most of my playtime. However, Treasure Battle mode doesn't have much lasting appeal. It's essential if you want to unlock new accessories, but everything is randomized, so there are no real thresholds to work towards where you definitely know what your reward will be. It's also a bit annoying that these are the only modes where you can fight against the AI in a real match, as there is no versus CPU option. There's still fun to be had in practice mode, but it's hard to learn how to counter certain strategies when you both have unlimited hit points. Local multiplayer in Tekken is as perfect as any other fighting game. Zero lag, plenty of trash talk, and a dash of controller throwing. Online, however, is a bit spotty. It took me several minutes to find even a single unranked match, and even that was after I lowered my search criteria to worse connections. Most of my battles were laggy, but not unplayable. But it was also eye-opening, as it gave me a reality check on just how good some players are once they've mastered combo strings and bouncing. The main story in Tekken 7 serves as a conclusion to the Mishima saga, or at least a portion of it. Having just jumped into the series, I thought that I would be lost. However, Tekken 7 does its best to fill in new players through flashbacks and summaries of the previous games. The game's extensive gallery mode helped too. Tekken 7 picks up shortly after the events of Tekken 6, where two major factions, the Mishima Zaibatsu and G Corporation, are continuing their war on economics. Heihachi Mishima retakes the leadership of the Mishima Zaibatsu and starts another Iron Fist tournament with an extra special hidden agenda this time around. The story may seem large-scale, but it's really a focused narrative about Heihachi and his relationship with his son Kazuya, where all the secrets of the family are finally laid bare. At times, the story felt too short, and many major characters didn't get enough time in the spotlight or even an appearance in the main story. The entire mode is also narrated as a recount of events leading to the finale. However, it's narrated by a voice actor that is clearly disinterested. He doesn't even try to emote during dialogue that describes heartbreak and anger.
There is also an accompaniment to the Mishima Saga in the form of character episodes, which are this game's replacement for the sometimes wacky, sometimes serious arcade mode endings. These run parallel to the Mishima Saga but don't have an impact on how that unfolds. These episodes don't do much to tell players about new or returning characters, and some stories end just when they're beginning, and it's frustrating that it feels like an afterthought. Tekken 7 has a unique presentation style. It borders on semi-realism from a basic design standpoint, but then the game throws in octopus-armoured samurai and a fist-fighting bear. The main engine is good and can handle quite a lot all at once, and the in-game cinematics look great. The character models are well detailed and show an incredible range of motion, and so do the pixel-perfect hitboxes. There is also a good amount of character customization, as you can play around with clothing and accessories to create new outfits or unrecognizable monstrosities. It might not be the prettiest game out there, but it definitely suits the arcadey feel of the game. The game runs very smoothly in all its offline modes, but can get choppy during online play, ranging from slight delays to noticeable lag or frozen character models. If you can play with a friend on the same couch, I would highly recommend it. Every well-timed punch and kick sounds impactful and quite painful. Softer thuds help differentiate blocks from strikes and also hint at a continuation to a combo. Tekken 7 has a diverse roster and a soundtrack to match. You can also access the old soundtracks from previous titles, which is great for fans. Most characters speak in their native languages, which is impressive, but also a bit silly when conversations go back and forth from Italian, English and Japanese, with everyone understanding what is being said. I had the most fun sticking with a few beginner-level characters and found playstyles that suited me. This was helped immensely by the inclusion of Akuma, as I entered Tekken 7 as a Street Fighter veteran, and having a character that I knew how to play as was great. The developers did a great job of translating his moveset, retaining mostly the same playstyle while adding in a few combos. I then ended up with Asuka and Lucky Chloe as my go-to characters, as they were relatively forgiving even if I only knew about a quarter of their command list. There's a certain ballet to learning a character in Tekken, and it did feel daunting early on when I finally worked up the courage to go online. There's plenty of fun to be had in Tekken 7, even if it's from unintentional button mashing between two friends that don't quite understand the game. As much as I enjoyed my time with Tekken 7, I found myself at odds with its design. On one hand, it lacks a tutorial mode and jumps right into the main narrative, leaving newcomers in the dust. On the other, it's very accessible and I found it relatively easy to teach myself how to play. The unlockable cinematics from previous games also serve to fill in the blanks left after the credits rolled. Because of that, I feel like series veterans will be right at home and newcomers can jump in too. It just requires a little more practice than most, making Tekken 7 worth a buy. For my first foray into the franchise, it's built up my skills and made me want to dive into previous installments. Thanks for watching GameCast's Tekken 7 review. Stay tuned for more great gaming content. You can also check out our social media links below, and if you can't get enough of my voice, you can find my personal channel in the description below. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the ring.
Hey there, hi there, hello there, internet dwellers. My name is Orange Lightning, and welcome to another GameCast review. Today, I'll be talking about Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles, a single-player adventure exploration game blanketed in sheer wonderment, championed by the team at Prideful Sloth. Jumping straight into the gameplay, the controls for this game are relatively sound, if a little ice skatey from point to point. There isn't much to get to grips with, but there is a lot of item management and cycling through in search of the right tool for the job. A core feature of this game, after all, is collecting and crafting, so there is a fair amount of time spent in your pack, and it isn't bottomless, so you will need to keep on top of your item slots. You don't want to be caught on the opposite side of the map with a glorious treasure chest to be opened, and your inventory is full. Time to chuck those seeds away! But aside from that, there are few buttons to worry about, as you will spend a lot of your time running and mashing square, if on PlayStation like me, to gather as much dang wood and stone as you can find. So the heart of this title lies in the exploration and overall adventure itself. A lot of comparisons flagging to the Legend of Zelda series. There are certainly lots of things to do to fill your time up, but I found each aspect it was pulling, such as farming or crafting, to feel a little bit unfinished. I guess we have been spoiled by games with one of these specific mechanics at its centre, that Yonder came across a weenie as trying to put too many eggs in a moderately sized basket. A good example of what I mean is the guilds that you can join. In fact, the game steers you to have to join in order to progress the story. When you start one, you get a novice badge and some basic recipes to craft, and when you hit a certain value of worth from what you have made, you complete the quest. But I wasn't expecting to jump straight to Master. That was certainly a brief training course, if only real education was like that. One of the biggest things, though, that was decided on in Yonder is to remove any sort of peril. Now that is interesting, as something you were tasked with doing as part of the main plot is wiping out the purple hazy murk that has all of the locals terrified. But it cannot actually hurt you. There aren't any enemies to watch out for, nor can you even take falling damage. I tested this by flinging myself off of a cliff, but instead of petrifying doom, I was met with a dainty umbrella, guiding my character to safety. I may not have Mary Poppins' bag, but I have her power of flight! I don't actually think this is a bad thing though, as although part of adventure can be facing dangerous beasts and wielding a magical sword, it was actually quite refreshing to not have that on your mind and instead enjoy dashing around from town to town without a care in the world. Switching things up to the story, after a very short, very dangerous boat trip, okay, so mild peril, you arrive at Gamir, a land plagued by an ominous dark matter known as murk. The people are sinking into despair as patches of this evil shroud are dominating the landscape, sealing off towns from each other and damaging numerous properties and trade routes. So, it is up to you to uncover the mysteries of the murk with the help of the local magical creatures known as sprites that only you can see, by the way. Gotta be special, and through this, fulfill your own journey of self-discovery and heroism. Naturally though, the townspeople each have their own stories to tell, and by aiding them, you will be given tidbits to help with the main quest. It is simple, and works well with the calming nature of the game, but perhaps this is the problem, because danger is not really a thing to be concerned about. As a player, there does not seem to be any real urgency to fix the overall problem. I did what I always do in games with many side quests, and kind of drifted away from the story quite quickly, finding myself more interested in maxing out each guild and exploring the entirety of the map, instead of pushing through the plot. Also collecting cats. They purr when you pick them up, it's so cute. Delving into more graphical detail, there is no denying Yonder is beautiful. Colours are bold and well defined, and I absolutely love the changing of the seasons, and how even in the snowy mountains or lush forest, the changes felt by spring and winter are still there, and are subtle enough to just feel it traversing instead of just chucked in your face. There are a number of strange animals and creatures to coax onto your farm as well, and it has to be said, the whole style is just adorable. Everything is designed to really bring home that sense of wonderment and just plain joy. You can't help but crack a smile and think, yes, this is a world I want to live in. Also, there is some customizing to your character. Most of it needs to be found or crafted from unlocking various guild recipes though. But come on, you don't need anything else other than galaxy hair. There were a couple of loading blips when crossing into different areas, but they were so short I barely noticed, and very soon forgot about once I carried on. It did lag a little for me when I kept swapping out seeds though at my farm, and I had to jump in and out of the pack menu to wake it up. But other than that, the game performed really well. There is also an online feature where players have the option to leave items in a box and then upload it for others to find, kind of like those old style time machine shoe boxes kids buried in their back garden. And I thought this was a nice little touch to subtly engage with other living adventurers. Perhaps a multiplayer future maybe? Much like the visuals, the sound is very sweeping and pretty, if a little sudden in some places. It may have scared me once or twice, I'm not gonna lie. And instead of voice, the game goes for sounds to indicate speech, and it fits together well. I prefer this a lot of the time to the over-the-top, silly voices that this kind of style would garner. So, is it enjoyable, you ask? Yes, I had a lot of fun with this game. I was very overwhelmed at first, as I was presented with all of these different things I could do, places to go, people to see, but once I started settling in, the completionist in me began to kick off. It can be a little slow going in the very early hours, but once you start expanding your map and finding sprites to unlock new areas, I was eagerly reaching for more. There is one pet peeve I have though, and that is there are a lot of quests that get pushed in your face that maybe you can't complete right now and have to come back for. I am the type who wants to do it all, and I want to do it here and now, especially as there is a lack of fast travel features. But I fell in love with the fishing mechanic in particular, as it works nicely enough to still challenge, but not be completely horrendous like many other games. And actually, I was quite a fan of the lack of battles. I thought it was a nice change. To wrap this up then, I like Yonder. There are a number of comparisons that can be made to other similar games, but this one is nice for collectors and someone looking for a more relaxed and outright adorable adventure. However, I do worry that this is a game that is trying to be so many things, but ends up feeling a little empty and not quite grasping what makes it special and stand out from that crowd. In the end, I am giving Yonder a wait for sale. The price tag is a little high, although there is a lot of gameplay and the potential to sink hours into it. I'm not sure it would really score in replayability once finished. But don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, and I think at a sale price it would definitely be worth grabbing and chilling out to, even if it's just a couple of quid less. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this review of Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. There's a mouthful if ever you heard one. Alliteration and the rule of 3. Huzzah! If you want to see more from us here at GameCast, please like and subscribe, and keep watching for more awesome gaming content. And if you want to see more from me, there are links in the description below to my channel, Orange Lightning Playzone, and all of my other social spaces. So, take care for now!
I'm Mark and welcome to another Gamecast review. Today I'll be reviewing Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age, now available for the PlayStation 4. Let's start things off by talking about gameplay. The original Final Fantasy XII was released in 2006 and divided the fanbase due to its mix of traditional Final Fantasy RPG elements and MMO-style gameplay. Sometime after this, an International Edition remix of the game was made for Japanese audiences, changing and tweaking many of the core gameplay principles of the original release. Now we have The Zodiac Age, a remaster of the International Edition plus several new features and further balancing. For those unfamiliar with 12's gameplay, think of it like a regular MMORPG. You wander around town, take on quests, and venture out into semi-open environments slaying mobs and gaining new skills. Attacks and skills are dictated by your ATB gauge, and you can issue commands to each of your party members. You can swap control to any party member, and new to the Zodiac Age, you can even control and command guest party members. There's quite a lot of micromanagement going on in each battle. Thankfully, Final Fantasy XII also introduced players to the Gambit system. Gambits are basically an active AI command that tells them what to do in certain situations, or to give priority to certain actions. These can be expanded upon over time, and mastery of this system can automate the game somewhat. Final Fantasy XII is also a very grind-heavy game, so having features like the Gambit system was a necessity. The Zodiac Age still maintains the same grindy feel, but it does speed things up considerably thanks to the new Speed mode. At any time in gameplay, you can speed the game up by double or even quadruple its regular pace. This makes long treks through the environment much quicker, chaining together kills for the best loot less tedious, and the flow of combat punchier. The Zodiac Age has also reintroduced the job system, allowing each character to grow into a specific role. Each job has an accompanying license board, and it's here that you gain the license to use new pieces of equipment or skills. Partway into the game, each party member will gain access to a second job, making it possible to create unique and devastating combos. You can't go back on job selections, so it's best to have a backup save just in case. Summons and quickenings don't cost MP to activate anymore, and are instead relegated to a new mist gauge that refills over time. Summons can also be controlled directly, allowing the player to determine their actions and activate their cutscene finisher whenever they want. The last big change is the new trial mode. This is separate from the main game and has your current party take on multiple challenge rooms, each growing in difficulty and reward. There isn't any penalty for trying it, and you get to keep everything you earn, so it's a fun test of your skills and current gambits. Next up, let's talk about the story. The original story of Final Fantasy XII is untouched in this remaster. Taking place during a losing war, the country of Dalmasca has been taken over by the invading empire. The citizens are uncomfortable with this change, and there are people suffering throughout the country. The story is told primarily from the perspective of Vaan, a young Aladdin-like teenager trying to work his way toward his goal of becoming a sky pirate. He's soon joined by characters of great importance to the world around him, and as such, Vaan takes a backseat while the rest of the cast bounce off each other. No single character really is the main character in Final Fantasy XII, and that's both a strength and a weakness. It's great having strong characters, each with their own histories, goals, and relationships, but it also detracts from those that aren't as strong, like Vaan and Penelo. It's a story told on a grander scale than most other Final Fantasies, and its political tones tend to sound like ramblings in long play sessions. Next is the game's graphics, performance, and sound. Final Fantasy XII has undergone a fresh HD remaster, and it's great to see the game in a form closer to what was originally intended. It still looked great on PS2, but now it's cleaner, Vaan's abs don't look like they were painted on, and many of the characters' faces look more like the concept art jumped off the page. The mingling of different and unique races across Ivalice was great then, and it's still great now. There are also plenty of pre-rendered cutscenes scattered throughout the main narrative, and these still look fantastic. However, it is still a product of its time, and some animations are clunky while a few character models suffer from glued fingers. The new speed mode makes animations border on hilarious, especially when the speed is quadrupled. The HUD has been cleaned up a bit, but I often filled it with the new overlay map to help me in exploration. The environments are cleaner and some of the environmental puzzles are a bit more obvious, but not too much has changed on this front. Many monster and boss models still hold up well, and it felt good to travel through Ivalice once again, hunting down monsters and defeating them with the beautiful and sometimes confusing quickening attacks of the main cast. The soundtrack has been reorchestrated for this remaster, and it gives a grander feel to an already grand game. The original soundtrack is still available, and it still holds its own just fine. The character's audio, while good in both releases, still sounds a bit echoic. Everyone does a great job, but much like the original release, Balthier steals the show as the self-proclaimed leading man and gentlemanly sky pirate. I had a great time playing Final Fantasy XII again. I was initially worried as these types of games are huge investments and I'd already technically played it once before. The new speed mode and job system helped keep the game quick and fresh as I bounced from fields to caves to deserts in only a few hours. It was a change I didn't know the game needed, and now I want it to be a mainstay for all future remasters of Final Fantasy games. The new additions don't feel forced and the game feels better for it. I had a blast figuring out job combinations and determining the best way to spend my banked license points. I felt great once I hit upon a combination of jobs and gambits that let me sit back and watch the action unfold. Final Fantasy XII was a difficult game to get into initially. The Zodiac Age has helped curb this significantly, however it still does require a few hours before the game really opens up to the player. If you're new to this Final Fantasy and you've always been curious, then this is the definitive edition of 12. For those that played the original but didn't think it felt like a true Final Fantasy, then this remaster may change your opinion. It's definitely not for everyone, but Square Enix have tried their best to broaden their audience and this was a good move. So for that, Final Fantasy XII The Zodiac Age is worth a buy from me. Stay tuned to GameCast for more great gaming content. You can also find GameCasts and my social links in the description below. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a hunt that needs completing.
My name is Max, and welcome to another GameCast review. Today, I'm reviewing Fable Fortune, a turning point in the controversial series and yet another entry into the collectible card game genre, more commonly referred to as CCG. Before getting into it, I'd like to clarify that this game will release in early access on July 25th, so it will likely be a different game in a few months. This review is based on its current state. We'll be starting, as always, with gameplay. As one would expect, Fable Fortune plays very similar to other card games. You choose a hero, create a deck, and test it out against other players online. There are currently 6 heroes with 2 more to come at a later date. Each one has their own special ability and a set of specific cards based around that ability, as well as a general pool to pick from. Since this game is still in early access, some of these heroes could use a bit of balancing. Players using Sand the Prophet, for example, can design a deck around boosting one specific card so powerful that it can kill a hero in 2 hits. Fortune will be free to play though, so once more players join in, these balance issues will be easier to find. Each turn, players lay out cards, use skills, and attempt to outsmart their enemies. Cards and abilities cost gold, of which you're allowed a certain amount. Each player rotation, this number goes up until a cap of 10. The goal is to take the hero's health down to 0. Some cards and spells have extra effects that come into play once they are destroyed or placed into guard, among other statuses. Sound familiar? It should if you've ever touched this type of game. Everything I've mentioned so far is standard CCG fare, of which Fable Fortune is an alright if not unmemorable entry. Where it tries to differ is in the Fable series' staple feature, its morality system. At the beginning of each game, you choose a quest to work towards. These are very simple tasks, such as spend a certain amount of gold or using cards with more strength than health. These goals will be met naturally as you play, and you won't adjust your style much to accommodate them. Completing a quest gives you the option to put a point into good or evil. Your benefits from this choice are based on your hero, and are hardly different. Evil could be deal 1 point of damage to the enemy hero and heal yourself 2 points, while good is deal 2 damage points to the enemy hero or 1 to an enemy unit. You will then be given a deck-specific trophy card to use at will. While morality is a core part of the Fable series, here it just feels tacked on. The choice you make has an insignificant impact on the overall match, and it serves to break the flow more than add to it. This is a real shame, especially because this is the only part of the game that makes any attempt to stand out from other collectible card games. Winning a match nets you some currency and experience. The currency is used to buy card packs, which are also available via microtransactions. Game modes consist of ranked matchmaking, 2-player co-op, and an event game type with some sort of twist on the normal mechanics. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to try out that last one due to some issues they were having during my playtime. There's also a training mode that doesn't actually train you how to play, but rather pits you in a 1v1 match with an AI. Fortunately, learning the game is pretty simple and straightforward in the first place. Fortune has a basic form of crafting that has you scrapping cards for materials and using those materials to create new and more powerful ones. This is fairly limited in its pre-release state, so I haven't had too much experience with it, unfortunately. In terms of story, Fable Fortune doesn't really have one. The only story elements it has are the cards and heroes based on the series lore. And even then, a lot of Fable lore is fairly generic fantasy in the first place. I think the game would benefit from some sort of story mode a la Hearthstone. One will likely be added later on. Next up is graphics, performance, and sound. The most successful collectible card games have little touches of personality spread throughout. Hearthstone has interactable environments to play with while waiting for your turn, Magic the Gathering has memorable characters and a complex lore to draw from. Fable Fortune, in its current state, has none of this. From the eerie lack of personality in the cards to the static nature of the playing field environment, almost every opportunity to establish an atmosphere is not taken advantage of. Fable has been criticized for a myriad of reasons over the years, but one can't deny it has always had personality. What other series lets you serenade a group of villagers with a ukulele only to fart in their faces and flip them the bird? Fortune lacks any of that trademark style that drew us into the Fable games in the first place. Both the cards and the heroes are pretty mundane in design, with few distinguishing factors from other fantasy properties. Again, this is more due to the lore it's drawing from than the fault of the game's artists, but it still takes away from the experience. I experienced 1 or 2 crashes during my time with Fortune, but this is to be expected as it's in an unstable beta state and is not representative of the full game. Some of the loading screens can take a while, with some running over a minute's time. Also, I've had issues with cards not placing down after selection and animations getting stuck in the way of the game. Once I had some cards unlocked and my own deck fleshed out, I definitely enjoyed trying out the different heroes and seeing which abilities countered what. Despite missing a lot of the bells and whistles, Fable Fortune still invokes the same strategic thinking as any other collectible card game. Yet, That's the exact reason you may want to look elsewhere. If other established games have more features and personality added onto this core set of mechanics, why not play them instead? Fable Fortune is a passable entry into the saturated market of collectible card games, though I'd argue most of what works is because of the genre staples rather than anything unique the Fable name brings to the table. Normally, GameCast rates games based on their value, as gamers don't have all the time and money in the world. However, since this game is a free-to-play title, it's hard to factor price in. I'd say that Fortune is worth checking out. While there are definitely better alternatives, those still dedicated to the Fable brand will find enjoyment here, and so will those who aren't. It's coming to both the Xbox One and PC, and will feature cross-platform play between the two. Fable Fortune releases into early access on July 25th. Thanks for checking out another GameCast review. I hope it proves valuable to you. Don't forget to check out our other GameCast content, and those interested can find links to my personal content down in the description. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to stay tuned to GameCast for all your gaming needs.
What's up everyone, my name is Mike, and welcome to another GameCast review. Today I'll be taking a look at Return to Castle Wolfenstein for PC, and the Real RTCW version 2.1 mod. Enjoy.
We found him.
id Software released Wolfenstein 3D for DOS in 1992, and it revolutionized the gaming industry. The violence, the bloodshed, the action, it was all so new and exciting back then. id Software would later release an additional episode for Wolfenstein 3D, titled Spear of Destiny, but after that they would never return to the series that launched them into stardom. But as we know, Wolfenstein did turn into a franchise, and a pretty damn good one if you ask me. Developed by Grey Matter Interactive with additional assistance from Nerve Software and published by Activision, Return to Castle Wolfenstein was released in November 2001. This game is definitely better known for its multiplayer, but there is a full-blown campaign here, which is what I'll be covering in this review. Developer Splash Damage originally planned to release an expansion pack, but apparently there were problems with the single-player portion, so they decided to release the multiplayer portion as a free standalone game titled Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. From what I understand, most players would move away from the original multiplayer to Wolf ET, and I think some dedicated fans are still playing this today. Return to Castle Wolfenstein was ported to Xbox and PlayStation 2 in 2003, and both include an extra single-player prequel mission, among other differences. For this review, I played the PC version, and I'll also be covering the Real RTCW version 2.1 Realism mod, along with the HD Textures pack designed for this mod. Real RTCW runs on the IORTCW engine, a community-made engine based on the original source code with all kinds of fancy new features. But the mod actually aims to rebalance gameplay, it adds new weapons, there's new textures, and even new sound effects. It seems that many people overlook the single player in this game in favor of the multiplayer, so you may be wondering, is the single player in Return to Castle Wolfenstein worth my time, or is it just a throwaway campaign? Well, let's take a look. As you progress through the campaign, you'll acquire all kinds of weapons. You're always equipped with a knife, you can also kick shit, and you can even man the many mounted MG42s scattered throughout the environments. Much of the arsenal consists of your standard World War II weaponry, including a Luger and even Colt pistol that can be dual-wielded. You've got your MP40, Thompson submachine gun, silenced Sten submachine gun, grenades, and even dynamite, which basically obliterates anything in the blast radius. Dynamite isn't exactly easy to come by, so using it when you're in a tight spot is highly recommended. There's an FG-42, Panzerfaust, a flamethrower, and you can even find attachments for some weapons. The Mauser rifle basically becomes a sniper rifle once you acquire the scope, and you can attach a silencer to the Luger. At one point you acquire a snooper rifle with an IR scope. This is an experimental sniper rifle created by the American Army for the OSA. The only thing I don't like about any weapons with scopes is that you really can't move when looking through the scopes. If you decide to strafe, you'll immediately stop looking through the scope, which becomes annoying. You can move a little bit, like an inch at a time, but it just seems like an odd design choice. Now, the two most interesting and unique weapons appear late in the game. The Venom gun has to be one of the coolest variants of a chain gun I've ever seen in a video game. This thing is also very deadly, and able to turn most enemies into a steaming pile of jibs. Finally, there's the Tesla gun, which can electrocute multiple enemies at once. The Real RTCW mod adds an additional set of weapons that perfectly fit in with the rest of the arsenal. These include an MG42 you can carry, a Winchester M97 shotgun, a rifle I don't know how to pronounce, M1 Garand, MP34, MP44, and even a Bar M1 918. Every time you start a new mission, the first level of that mission usually provides you with new weapons to start with, and you acquire the others as you play. This is still the case in Real RTCW, but the new weapons and ammo for the said weapons are scattered throughout the environments and even enemies will carry them, so it always feels like these new weapons are seamlessly integrated into the game, and they're a real joy to fire. The added weapons give the arsenal some excellent variety. The game plays out in missions with multiple levels per mission. There's 7 main missions with approximately 3 to 5 levels each. Now there's quite a bit of environmental variety, with each mission taking place in a different location. You'll traverse through the infamous Castle Wolfenstein, Paderborn Village, Catacombs, a forest compound, airbase, and even Death's Head's X-Labs, where he oversees the creation of horrible mutant creatures. The loading screens in between levels show you a briefing of what your ultimate goal is, along with your objectives. At the end of each level, you can view your mission stats, which include the time it took you to complete the level, objectives completed, how many secret areas you found, how much treasure you collected, and attempts, which basically means how many times you died. Now, most levels are fairly linear, but do include plenty of branching paths and secret areas, many of which house treasures. However, other than bragging rights, there's no real benefit to collecting treasure. From what I understand, in the PS2 version you can actually purchase new items at the end of levels, which would give you some motivation to look for secrets, but that's not the case here. Most secrets are rather well hidden. You may have to blow up a wall or find a lever that reveals a hidden doorway. There's actually quite a bit of interactivity within the levels. You can destroy posters and flags, blow up radios, and even destroy obstacles to gain access to new areas. Scattered throughout the levels are health items, ammo, and armor, and if there's any reason to look for secret areas, it's for these things. Many secret areas contain a good amount of health and armor, which you'll probably need on higher difficulties. Eating food will also grant you health, and there's even drinks that can provide you with extra stamina. Sprinting drains your stamina meter, which does regenerate over time, but having the extra stamina can't hurt. There are 2 levels that force you to use stealth. Yes, force, as in if you're detected, you automatically fail and have to restart from your last save. Luckily, I've played through this game before, so I knew where to go and what paths to take, but these are the kind of levels where quick saving becomes your best friend. In many levels, when an enemy spots you, he'll run to an alarm and set it off, alerting all other enemies to your presence. You can always turn it off, but you're better off destroying the alarm itself. I really wouldn't say there's a lot of stealth in this game, but these 2 levels are the weakest of them all just because they force stealth. They're not really hard to get through, but if it's your first run through the game, these levels can turn into frustrating cases of trial and error gameplay. The vanilla game includes 3 difficulty modes: Don't Hurt Me, Bring 'Em On, and I Am Death Incarnate, and Real RTCW adds an additional 4th difficulty, Can I Play Daddy, which becomes the new easiest difficulty mode. The difficulty in general is where things get interesting. I think the difficulty is very unbalanced, with specific levels being outrageously frustrating, especially when playing Real RTCW. I played on the Bring 'Em On difficulty in the vanilla game, and the enemy AI can range from can't hit shit to ridiculously accurate. Nazis and standard German soldiers make up much of the enemy types, but as you progress you start encountering more dangerous variants of these enemies, like paratroopers that can destroy you with FG-42s. There's soldiers that wield flamethrowers, enemy snipers may be firing at you, and every now and then you may take a rocket to the face. You'll encounter undead enemies for the first time in the second mission. These include various types of zombies, mummies, and even undead warriors that wield axes, swords, and they also carry shields that can reflect bullets back at you. Yeah, they can be annoying. Elite guards, who I always refer to as sexy Nazi ladies, are acrobatic, can move fast, roll around, and wield silent-stand submachine guns. They seem to have pinpoint accuracy when you first encounter them in the beginning of the game, which can really throw you off because this is one of the several sections where the difficulty spikes, and it's ridiculous. But the real issue is that the difficulty spike here is experienced again in several areas scattered throughout the campaign. You turn a corner and you're getting pummeled in the face with bullets. You climb a ladder and there's an enemy at the top or bottom ready to blow you away, and will do so the moment you're exposed. When you get to the X-Labs, you'll encounter super soldiers that are armed with a Venom gun, Tesla gun, and even a Panzerfaust. These guys are also heavily armored and are basically bullet sponges. This is another enemy type that can really ruin your day and force you to mash the quick save button. Lopers are also encountered in the X-Labs, and these fuckers are just a nuisance. They can leap ridiculous distances and electrocute you if they get close, draining your health at a rapid rate. Now there's 3 bosses, and surprisingly, 2 of the bosses are rather easy to kill. The second boss battle is just a pain in the dick, especially if you're low on health when it starts. You have to take down the Uber Soldat, and I happen to be low on health, and could barely make it 5 feet before getting blown to bits. But it's the kind of battle where you pop your head out and you're getting hit before you can even take a shot. For the most part, the unbalanced difficulty is tolerable in the vanilla game, although I have yet to play on the I Am Death Incarnate difficulty mode. From what I can tell, one of the ways the Real RTCW mod rebalances the gameplay is by making the enemies deadlier. Do you have any idea what this means? Well, I do. It means get ready to type the give health command because the difficulty is outrageous. Now, I knew going into this mod that enemies would be more aggressive, so I played through this on the Don't Hurt Me difficulty mode, and I'm glad I did because I could only imagine my frustration on anything more challenging. Real RTCW makes the vanilla game feel like a cakewalk. Basically, if you're exposed at all, you're going to die. Enemies can hit you from ludicrous distances in rapid succession, usually dropping you in seconds with almost any weapon. The enemies you should be looking out for are elite guards and paratroopers, because encounters with these baddies will surely put you down if you don't tread lightly. The train yard level in particular is just the worst. Paratroopers, snipers, and enemies with Panzerfausts populate the level, and it's just a slog to get through. Every time I would pop my head out, I was getting assaulted by gunfire. In 2 instances, I loaded a quick save and was immediately a bullet magnet. I mean, it really is ridiculous. Encounters with other enemy types can end up like this as well, so it seems, but not as often. I understand the creator is trying for this more balanced gameplay style, but even with the new weapons, the enemies just seem to be more accurate, which just seems unnecessary, and this mod is a good reason why. It seems that many enemies can literally shoot the wings off a fly, even if that fly is barely visible and a good distance away. It's not that I don't appreciate a challenge, but I mean sometimes you can't even turn a corner, even if you're careful, without getting shot to death. Enemies seem to shoot you before you can even see them. I don't mind a hard but fair challenge, but this is just unfair. It's a shame too, because everything else about this mod is truly excellent. You can actually lean in this game, but you can't shoot when leaning, which would have been a big help. I don't know if it's possible to mod something like that in, but I think it would be a great addition to Real RTCW.
Well, Jack, have we heard anything?
Yes, sir. We've just received a coded transmission from Kessler, our contact in the Chrysalis Circle.
And?
The story takes place in 1943, and you play as William B.J. Blazkowicz, the same protagonist from Wolfenstein 3D. B.J. reports to the Office of Secret Actions, abbreviated OSA. At the start of the game, B.J. and British operative Agent 1 are imprisoned in Castle Wolfenstein. If you play the console versions, the story goes B.J. and Agent 1 were sent into Egypt to investigate the activity of the Nazi SS Paranormal Division. Obviously, something goes wrong, they get captured, and shortly after being imprisoned, Agent 1 is interrogated, tortured, and killed. As we all know, BJ is quite resilient and manages to escape. From this point forward, the OSA sends BJ on several missions to thwart Nazi projects, including stopping a leading scientific researcher, Wilhelm Death's Head Strauss. We all know Death's Head becomes the main antagonist in the sequels, but he actually takes somewhat of a backseat here to Heinrich Himmler, an actual real-life sadistic Nazi, although BJ doesn't really have any interaction with him. Eventually, BJ and the OSA discover a Nazi scheme codenamed Operation Resurrection, a plan to resurrect Heinrich I, a Saxon king from 943 AD. Throughout the environments are clipboards, documents, and notes you can read for some lore and backstory on events. There are several cutscenes, and the only ones that really drive the story take place at OSA HQ. Now, if you don't care about the cutscenes, these can be rather boring since they usually involve a bunch of dudes just talking. BJ is actually a silent protagonist and just does what he's told. The voice acting for the OSA cutscenes are okay at best. The voice acting ranges from bad to mediocre during any level cutscenes, with English-speaking Germans, many of which spout cliché lines. Regardless, I found the story to be somewhat interesting, at least more interesting than any standard historical World War II shooter. I guess you could say Return to Castle Wolfenstein is the start of a trilogy if you actually pay attention to the stories in these games. And if you've played the sequels, then references, characters, and other nods to this game can be found in those. Although each game's story is also self-contained, so it doesn't really matter which one you play first. From a technical standpoint, the game ran very smoothly. I did play using the unofficial patch, which adds widescreen resolutions and fixes various crashes, although the game did crash on me once when attempting to load a quick save. The Real RTCW mod includes widescreen resolutions and even some new graphical options. It includes new load screens or briefings, which are now in widescreen, new menus, and even a new HUD. The texture work in the vanilla game is dated, but everything looks crisp from a distance. When you get close, you can see how blurry the textures are, although I do think the character models look pretty good for a 2001 game. The weapons are modeled well, enemies have death animations which look alright, but it's more satisfying to turn them into gibs, and I do think the explosions look pretty cool. The Real RTCW mod includes new weapon models which look amazing, the HD textures look incredible, and the new character uniforms and slightly altered designs look good. There's a lot of nice subtle improvements to the visuals. There's new blood splatter effects which make the gunplay even more satisfying. I did have to download and install a VSync hotfix specifically for this mod, so everything would display correctly, but you may be able to fix it with the right commands. I'm just lazy. Now, the audio design in the vanilla game is actually pretty good. All of the weapons are loud, powerful, and feel satisfying to shoot. However, the Real RTCW mod improves the sound effects tenfold. The mod basically doubles as a sound effects overhaul. The new weapon sounds, including gunfire and reload sound effects, are all excellent. All of the sound effects are clearer, crisp, and of the highest quality. Even things like footsteps and doors opening sound better. There's even new ambient sound effects thrown in here. The sound effects alone are worth checking this mod out. Now, the music is actually quite catchy, with what sounds like heroic tunes kicking in during combat, but the music does get repetitive since you'll be hearing the same few songs over and over again. I think I had an equal amount of fun with both the vanilla game and the Real RTCW mod, despite the ludicrous difficulty, and that's because with all of the new weapons and the sound effects overhaul, I still kept coming back to the Real RTCW mod. Pulling off a well-placed headshot to kill an enemy instantly is very satisfying, shooting barrels so they explode, killing enemies nearby is extremely fun to watch, and there's a decent amount of exploration thanks to the many secret areas in the levels. It's just a shame there's no better reason to even look for secrets unless you need health, armor, or ammo, or are just a completionist. Now, I've beaten this game several times over the years, and out of all the Wolfenstein games, I would say this one has the best sense of adventure, mainly because of the various locations. The Wolfenstein games are not really historically accurate, and back in the day, I would say that's what made Wolfenstein 3D and even this game stand out among the rest.
What will happen if we...
If you look, well, first your blood would begin to boil.
In the end, I would recommend Return to Castle Wolfenstein. If you've never played this before, definitely play the vanilla game before installing the Real RTCW mod. If it is your first time playing through this, you should play through the vanilla game first anyway, but the Real RTCW mod difficulty increase does not represent the vanilla game, and just makes many parts of the experience feel cheap. As a Wolfenstein fan, I enjoyed the story for what it is, especially since it's unique and doesn't follow in the steps of other World War II shooters of the time. Now, don't get me wrong, Return to Castle Wolfenstein does have issues, but they can be overlooked and there's a lot of fun to be had here. If you're a fan of the stories in the sequels, or at least the New Order, you may want to give this a shot just to see how certain things got started. As for the Real RTCW mod, the difficulty, or just the enemy accuracy, really needs to be toned down. I guess I would recommend it because the rest of it is pure excellence. The new weapons, redesigned weapon models, the sound overhaul, you can just see a ton of care went into this. Considering you can get this game for pretty cheap now, there's really no reason not to check this out if you're a fan of shooters or action games. And if you only care about the multiplayer, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory is free.
Well, I suppose we can close the book on Operation Resurrection.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope this review proved helpful. Stick with GameCast for more quality content, including the latest gaming news, podcasts, let's plays, and even more reviews. Be sure to check out my channel, Gaming Pastime, for new game reviews released every week. My name is Mike, and I thank you for watching.
Well, I hope at least he's enjoying some well-deserved time off.
Oh, yes. He's off on a little R&R as we speak.
Ah, excellent, excellent. Anything special?
Late to the broadcast and miss your favorite show? Fear not, we've got you covered. The GameCast YouTube channel contains all of your past and present shows on demand for you to view at a time of your convenience. The space also serves as a portal of sorts for you to discover what your favorite GameCast personalities are creating outside of the GameCast world. Simply click the link below for the past and present on demand, with a side bonus of content from your favorite GameCast personalities. Stop right there! Don't touch that dial, and don't change the channel. Pocket Edition is up next. This small form factor show isn't afraid to unpack the biggest talking points of the video game industry. Join your host Sully and other various GameCast personalities as they pull apart and put back together what captured their interest this week and in some cases, your childhood too.
Welcome, boys and girls, to episode 19 of Pocket Edition, the bite-sized podcast where we try to break down and give back to you the big talking points that we picked from the video game industry in a nice, tidy, small form factor for you. And today I'm joined by Mark from our GameCast review team and Casey, who's kind of almost become my unofficial co-host at this point because he seems to be super reliable and is awake at weird hours to record with me. So welcome, both of you.
I am a night owl.
What's going on, Mark? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Where'd I go?
Yeah. We're on the same time zone, dude. You should be awake.
Mostly the same time zone. Yeah, that's right. I'm good. I've just been playing through Monster Hunter World.
Very good game.
Ooh. Are you reviewing that?
For my channel, Max is reviewing it for us.
Oh, it's like a blow to the back, Mark.
What? Oh. You want me to review it?
Yeah, I want 2 reviews.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, what's wrong with Max's review?
Yeah, so if he hears this, he might take some offense.
We're joking, Max. Wow. Anyway, let's carry on. That was really awkward. Casey, what have you been up to, dude?
Oh, not much. Waiting for Sea of Thieves to come out and playing some indie games.
Yeah, Max is also not keen for that game either.
Yeah, I heard.
We're really painting Max into a corner here.
Have an interesting video might be coming out with that one.
Oh, very nice. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Is this on your channel?
Oh, no, an episode of, we're talking about split screen.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right. So basically you're going to be, Mark, you'll be joining them as well, or?
In that one, because I have no opinion on Sea of Thieves. I could be the mediator.
Good.
But it'll be mainly Casey saying how much he loves the game or that he likes the game, and Max.
Very nice.
I don't know why Max hates it, but
yeah, how do you not like that game?
We'll suss it out. And the point of split screen is to find some sort of middle ground, so it's going to be very interesting.
Oh boy.
Why don't you give us the rundown for split screen in a nutshell?
So split screen is basically a show where we'll take a certain contentious gaming topic and choose the 2 most prevalent opinions that are counter to each other on that topic. So we'll do something like loot boxes are inherently evil, there's no redeeming qualities, or it's all about implementation.
Right. And do you guys have to necessarily agree or disagree with these prevalent opinions, or are you more playing devil's advocate?
It's more devil's advocate.
Yeah, to sell your soul for that one.
But there are definitely going to be times when we are absolutely against it, either side, and
you have to have a little disclaimer at the end.
And like we're meant to find a common ground, but we can't guarantee that. But that's what will make the show interesting.
It's interesting. I've watched the first episode and it was very well done. It's very well put together. So if you haven't watched that first episode, you can watch it on the GameCast channel now. So go check it out. But anyway, guys, today we are talking about the Battle Royale game mode and how it has risen to popularity and how it's infiltrating our games and children left, right, and center.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It is literally like it's popping up everywhere. I've heard rumors that it could potentially be in Halo 6. Now, I personally believe that's probably a long shot.
Really?
But you know, that's just my personal opinion. I feel like its rise in popularity probably came too late for Halo 6, but we'll get into that.
To be fair, that'd be a good reason why no one's heard anything about Halo 6 yet.
Yeah, perhaps it was pushed or delayed, which if it comes out 2019, absolutely. Why not? Let's have a Battle Royale mode. I can't see why they couldn't get it in. But I'm personally kind of curious as to, you know, when are we going to see Call of Duty do it? When are we going to see all the big existing franchises do it? Because we've got a lot of games on our list, which we'll cover in a minute, that are rolling it in. Paladins being one of them, which Mark finds a little bit kind of curious and interesting as to how they're going to implement that. But first, what opinions do you have on the Battle Royale game mode? Now, just to be clear, the Battle Royale game mode, I believe, really rose to popularity through PUBG. And the Battle Royale game mode, in a nutshell, is basically it's back to basics in a sense. This is why I appreciate it anyway. It's not like a hero shooter or a MOBA. There's nothing crazy about it. You're dropped into a map, a large-scale map. You're given the same starting equipment as everyone else, majority of the time, or at least in PUBG. You drop naked, basically. You scavenge the map, you find equipment, you find weapons, and it's literally 100 v everybody else. You're versing 100 other people to be the last man standing.
Right.
So in that sense, I find it incredibly attractive because there's no crazy fluff around the edges. It's just basic, straight up, I'm the best man and I'm the last man standing. But what do you guys think of the game mode in general?
PUBG actually was the one who popularized it. It actually started with H1Z1, which was King of the Hill. There was actually a huge lawsuit actually from that because the maker of H1Z1 actually went to go create PUBG and made more of that. It's actually really good. If you haven't played it yet, any Fortnite, PUBG, or even H1Z1, if it's even still popular anymore, I haven't heard much about it. It's quite fun. Just dropping. You have nothing. Dropping into a map. Scary as heck. Really is. And
really tense.
And just trying to scavenge what you can just to survive long enough.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I played a little bit of Fortnite as well, and yeah, I didn't know about that H1Z1 case. That's interesting. Yeah. And I think if you go back even before that, like, I personally kind of feel like it may have sprung up from some point from maybe perhaps DayZ, because it does feel very reminiscent of DayZ.
Maybe.
Without the zombies. Like, you're dropping in a map, it's you scavenge, you scrounge, and you have to watch out for all the other players around you. And the zombies are more of just like an obstacle, if anything.
Right. I think the only difference between that and H1Z1 was the fact that you had that circle coming in slowly trying to get you. King of the Hill did that.
So yeah, there's been a few games that have had cracks, but I think it was really just PUBG that refined that formula enough to, bang, here it is.
Right.
But Mark, have you played PUBG? Have you played Fortnite? Do you have an opinion on the Battle Royale game mode?
Yeah, I haven't delved into the mainstay major players in the Battlegrounds and Battle Royale thing, but I have played around a bit. The main one that I've played is an upcoming game that's done a few alphas called Darwin Project.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's basically it's a more intimate battleground sort of thing. It's like 16 players in like hexagonal maps, and
interesting.
You're just dropped there with a shovel or an axe, and you have to survive and kill the other players. Over time, you can find maps that you can't keep with you that show where other players are, but you have to fight the elements as well as fight each other.
But are you naked with an axe?
You start with a jumpsuit.
Wow, there you go.
But it's
get something.
like you get furs and things, and then start warming up your character. And the closer you are to someone,
the elements play in.
And the closer you are to someone, the better you can hear their microphone. So you can kind of tell when someone's nearby and sort of plan accordingly.
Well, everybody's going to be turning their microphones off.
Yep.
That or Discord.
And if you spectate, the same thing happens. So I got killed because someone was spectating me, and they said, "Oh my goodness, he's gonna get him!" And then the guy that I was chasing just sprung up and like head on a swivel, just looked around and started swinging.
They really gotta patch that shit.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Scared the crap out of me.
Jesus.
But yeah, like it's a fun back to basics sort of mode. It's just silly PvP.
Cool thing is, Solo, you were talking about maybe bigger production teams coming out with it. There's actually a rumor going around that Counter-Strike Go is going to be making one.
Yeah, see, I could totally see them doing that.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually a rumor going around right now. I could just
see them doing it. Yeah, I mean, I think, although a lot of the appeal, I think, with CSGO is like the tight quarter nature and trigger-happy, Twitch-happy nature of the game, but, if anyone can do it, why can't CSGO do it?
There is also another bigger company, bigger title coming out with one as well, and that's Dying Light is coming out with one.
Yeah, see, that's also really interesting. But before we dive into that one, Casey, why don't you run us through the list of rumored games to potentially be getting the Battle Royale treatment?
So these are some of the ones that are confirmed, that are not rumored. So it started off with H1Z1, of course, and Fortnite and PUBG. Grand Theft Auto Online, I do believe if it's not already, they're going to be doing one. You have SOS, which is 16 players on a fictional TV show fighting it out with monsters around. Mark mentioned the Darwin Project. We have Paladins Battleground.
That's an interesting one.
Which you mentioned earlier as well. We have Islands of Nine, which is first person. It's a first person battle royale game. You have Europa, which might just be from China from what I've been reading, but it's supposed to have real-time weather, underwater battles, environment kills, indestructible cover. 2 VR ones, which is Standout and Pavlov. So there's going to be VR battle royales. And if you really want to go back to Minecraft, you have survival games as well.
Yes. mods. I mean, they kind of already had one anyway, like the Hunger Game mod for Minecraft, which is just phenomenally fun. If you haven't played that, go play it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've seen gameplay from it. Looks real fun.
It's an interesting list, to say the least. There's a few games in there that I kind of go, how are they going to implement that? Like Dying Light especially is one of those games. I mean, because does that have a PvP mode? I thought that was just PvE campaign.
No, there is actually a PvP element currently in the game where it's four players versus one really decked out zombie, and the zombie is crazy insane. The way they're planning on doing the Battle Royale version is you have players kind of working together, kind of not. They have to obtain zombie samples, and the only way you can get out is to escape via helicopter, but the helicopter has limited seats. So it's like you have to work together, but at the same time, you have to
pick each other off towards the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool.
So it's like the ending of Left 4 Dead mixed with
oh god,
actual Battlegrounds type thing.
I feel like real friendships will be lost over this.
Oh yes,
that's a really cool idea. I like that. I dig that.
Mario Party all over again.
Yeah.
Literally throwing someone under the bus.
I almost pushed someone under the bus. One of my mates from playing Mario Party on the 64. I think it was like number 3 or 4 or something like that. I picked up 3 stars in one turn. I can't remember how it happened, but if for anybody out there who doesn't know what Mario Party is, you pick up depending on which Mario Party it is. In this one, the goal of the game was to collect these stars. You win the game by getting stars. I picked up 3 stars in one turn, which is pretty much unheard of. Like, that doesn't happen. I massively lucked out. And when I picked up the 3rd star, my buddy had a flip out because he's like, no way, that can't happen. And he yanked the controller and froze the console.
Are you serious?
I was like, are you for reals? And then to make it worse, we rebooted, played again, and he won the game.
Wow. You should have won that one.
Yeah, we don't talk anymore.
It's like when people try to play me in Mario Kart, they just don't like me because I tend to win every time. I'm just good.
Yeah. There's either pros or casuals. That's that game.
Yeah, Battle Royale Mario Kart.
Yeah, you just do Block Fortress like 30 players. That'd be amazing. Love Block Fortress.
Sick. What about Splatoon or something like that? That'd be crazy. Let's do a Battle Royale ARMS. Fuck it. Let's just go all in.
Jesus.
No, Battle Royale, every single Nintendo IP. Yeah, but Pikmin doesn't work. Who cares? Just throw it in.
Yeah, just doesn't matter.
It's broken. Who cares? Well, that's Nintendo for you. Just period. Don't care if it's canon or not.
I hope they go mad doing something like that. But anyway, Mark, you had some thoughts on Paladins receiving the Battle Royale treatment.
Yeah, so the main thing about all of these sort of Battlegrounds modes is that for the most part, everyone starts out on an equal playing field. And that's sort of why the formula's gotten so good, because like some people are just better, or some people forage better, or some people get lucky,
right,
and things like that.
Paladins is the first-person MOBA,
yes.
right?
So
yes, okay, just clarifying.
It can be first person. There's also the horseback, but so it switches between third and first.
Yeah, so it's a mostly first-person hero shooter MOBA.
Right.
And the problem with something like that going Battlegrounds is that, much like Overwatch, Paladins has specific heroes that are better in certain situations or better against other heroes.
Right.
So there's a balance issue straight away.
And if you're having, because they said it's going to be 100 players per match instead of 12, all of these people, some of them good hero picks against others, or say everyone chooses the exact same character or something like that. And you can also choose ultimates and everything like that. Like, you can still build all your skills and use your special abilities.
That's what I was just about to say. Like, they made it so, from what I heard, you could use your abilities, you have your ultimate stuff, but you have to find your weapons and armor.
Yeah. I heard, like, you can buff your character through exploration and stuff. But like, I'm worried about the base starting set. Like, if everyone finds everyone immediately, there's going to be a balance issue.
And there's also a balance issue for the fact that Paladins itself is a free game. If you don't pay your $20 to get all the characters, you still have to unlock them all that way. And people who haven't unlocked any or just jumped on for the simple sake of playing the Battlegrounds version of it, they're going to be starting out with this simple characters that everyone's going to be picking off, because obviously they're also haven't paid the $20, or if they have, good for them. And they're just going to be bad compared to the other people that have paid the $20 to get all the characters and can pick whoever the heck they want.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can see this potentially working is if they don't like kind of try to balance characters. If maybe they say they cap the amount of the same character that can be in any given 100-player match.
Right.
So it can't tip it too far. Like you can have 3 of this guy, 5 of that guy, just to balance it. You know what I mean?
I think the only thing I'm concerned with, and this is mainly just my gripe against Paladins overall, is their anti-cheat system. This is the reason I stopped playing once I found out about this. It's called Battle Eye. This thing is scary.
Oh, Battle Eye.
Yeah, Battle Eye will take a screen. You give it permission to take a screenshot of your computer at any time, even when you're not running the game, and you could send that to them. If a hacker ever got a hold of that, oh my god.
They see everything.
They would see everything whenever they
history,
want.
Credit card information.
It's the whole reason I don't play Paladins anymore, even though I did pay my $20 and I love the game. But God, I am not dealing with that anti-cheat software.
That's crazy. So, now that we've covered the interesting list of rumored and confirmed games,
right?
Let us know what you think down below as well in the comments. What do you think is crazy and what takes your fancy? Leave your thoughts below. But let's just kind of dream up the possibilities of what we might like to see the Battle Royale mode kind of roll into. So do you guys have any picks for that, where you'd like to see it go next?
Oh boy, Sea of Thieves.
100 ships.
100 ships. Going all out. Teams of 4.
See, that makes sense. Like, I could totally see that. Why not?
Yeah. Why not? If they ever, if Rare ever decides to jump on that, I will definitely play that all day.
I'm gonna get on Sea of Thieves. I've only seen a little bit, but that's what I do with my game. I'll watch like a short gameplay clip, and then I'm in. I'm giving this a crack.
Yeah.
So I'd totally be down for that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I've streamed Sea of Thieves a little bit, and I've recorded it a little bit. As soon as I played it, and they announced that there was no microtransactions except for the cosmetics after 3 months, there's not going to be basically any of the main problems that are with games these days, not happening in this. No loot boxes, none of that. I'm just like,
perfect.
I tweeted Rare. I'm like, if you actually do this and keep this up, I swear to God, my first tattoo will be a pirate ship with your logo on it.
Bring back the Rare tats.
Oh my God.
Nah, that's good. I mean, hopefully Microsoft have kind of been paying attention to the bad publicity surrounding a lot of the bad decisions that EA and Activision have made.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's nasty.
A little bit off. Yeah. A little bit off topic, but I mean, Microsoft almost pulled the old loot box progression system with Forza, and luckily, I've heard nothing more about that since. Apparently, it was never implemented since the EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 drama. So hopefully at least Microsoft have gone, okay, let's treat our fan base with a little bit more respect.
Thankfully, I think we've talked enough about Battlefront 2 for one lifetime.
Absolutely. I never want to talk about Star Wars or Battlefront again.
Unless they make a new one, and make it like the original. There you go. That's all they need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Mark, have you got a dream pick for Battle Royale? What is it? Hit us with it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have like a dream pick, but just because I've been playing a crap ton of it.
Monster Hunter?
Yeah.
But you just spectate 100 monsters fighting each other.
A finger on the trigger on that one. Yeah, it was absolutely Monster Hunter, just mainly because after playing through since the PS2 days, like I've been playing this series for over a decade, it's never had PvP. And I feel like it would bring a whole new layer into it, like no matter how it's implemented, just a PvP, because fighting a monster is very different to dealing with a person.
I would almost feel like that would be almost like a World of Warcraft style. Honestly, 100 players versus one big monster. That sounds like it would be awesome. Definitely, I would go forward to that.
Yeah, because they've got things like that where they're massive raid bosses, but they still only have like 4-player limits.
Oh yeah,
because 4 players can take it down, but like they could absolutely implement more and more. It'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because like in World, they've got this basically a walking volcano that you climb on the back of. But yeah, like I won't gush. Yeah,
never played one, so but I can see why they are so appealing. I would like to play one. I'd like to actually play the new one, but
it's one of those. Believe it or not,
so much money.
It's a small niche of a community when it comes to Monster Hunter. That's the way it is for most of the Japanese style games. Like my favorite game in the world is Phantasy Star Online, and you hear nothing about PSO anywhere. just this really small community of diehard fans that love it, even though it's a really great game.
Yeah, but something keeps them afloat. Like, obviously the sales must be there, and the fan base must be so passionate.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter in Japan, in its first week, the new one sold 2 million copies.
God,
yeah, madness.
And it's shipped 5 million.
5 million.
I think,
wow.
Yeah, I think Capcom, to make it a success, Capcom needed only 1 million sold.
Hasn't it been their most successful game, like period to date or something?
It's probably up there, but I do remember Monster Hunter 4 sold like 3 million in its first month or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
Monster
insane.
Hunter 4 is good as well.
Is that like Monster Hunter's always been a unit seller, but World has potential for like global sales.
Yeah, and long-term staying power as well.
Oh yes,
definitely. They could totally build on that.
Add the DLC, put in the cameos and stuff. That'd be
The Ryu DLC is amazing.
The Ryu
So
DLC?
stupid. Yeah, for Street Fighter.
I'm
It's
loving
so
the
stupid and
fact. I'm loving
it's
all
so
these
perfect.
random DLC characters that are coming out. Like, I recently booted up Bomberman R for the Switch because I haven't played it in a long time. I found out they have Silent Hill characters in Bomberman now. And I just died laughing.
That's not cool.
Like Pyramid Head as a bomber, it was just beautiful.
That's a little bit messed up.
Nintendo game, Pyramid Head.
Oh, Battle Royale Bomberman would be amazing.
Oh my god, no.
So many explosions.
That'd be chaos.
Do you view the whole map though at once? Like, how do you play that, or do you just view a little section? You just slowly bomb your way to the center. Like, you have to bomb your way in because the edge comes in or something like
God.
PUBG.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome, but it'd be absolute chaos.
All right, I'm gonna lay it on you guys. Here's my pick.
All right.
Totally predictable because I probably called myself a fanboy 100 times, even though I didn't like number 5 that much. But I want Halo 6 to have the battle royale.
Yep. Yeah. Honestly, I could see it.
Yeah, it'd be a big ass map.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing Halo, they'd probably do a smaller scale version, like it'd probably be like 30 players or something like that, or 40, I don't know.
Right.
But I would love 100, not necessarily with Spartans. Maybe we bring it a little bit, keep it a little bit more grounded, take away some of the powers, and maybe we go
Like
for
ODSTs,
Maybe ODST drop into a map or something, or a city. That would be really cool. I mean, I'd settle for Spartans. I'd absolutely settle for Spartan 4s. Like, that would be sick too. But
Or Spartan 2s. Go old school.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if I want to be running around having heaps of firefight shots with people with, like, really, shields.
Yeah.
Because I feel like to drop someone's shield in Halo, at the ranges we're talking, you're going to be giving off your position a lot.
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
chasing around people trying to drop their shields. So maybe ODSTs with a little less health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could totally do that. I definitely dig that. I mean, it doesn't even have to be as big as PUBG, but yeah, the potential's there. And, they've got the vehicles. Like, let's put the Warthogs in, all that kind of stuff. Like,
I mean, heck, they have the
getting
community
around.
to make the maps for them. The community maps
just
are
put it in
amazing.
Forge.
Yeah,
Yep.
put it in Forge.
Yep, give them a play space, and the Forge guys will do it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'd totally fanboy over that. I don't think it's going to happen if it comes out this year. If it comes out next year, maybe. But yeah, that's my pick. Put it in Halo.
Yeah, we'll find out more at E3 if Halo 6 comes out this year.
Anything left to add to the Battle Royale rumors, situation, future?
It is very interesting where they're going with it. Especially like the companies that are doing VR versions, or they're doing something really unique, like Darwin Project is doing something really unique with it, or Europa, if we ever see that in America. Just something really interesting, because it's going to be hard to stand out in this field now, because especially over Fortnite, because Fortnite's popularity just took off.
Bang. Yeah. What we're seeing here is the Call of Duty effect again.
Pretty much.
Everybody's going to start copying Call of Duty or Battle Royale. Everybody's going to want the game mode. So, it's eventually going to reach a tipping point where everybody's got it and it becomes the standard thing and nobody cares anymore.
Yeah. So, you have to find your niche. You have to find some way to make it interesting and unique, but at the same time incorporate the Battlegrounds aspect to it.
Yeah. And Fortnite has done that really well because
you can build your own
they
forts.
Exactly. There we go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that. Let's mix it up. But anyway, Mark, have you got anything left to add, man?
Just like with everyone adding it, and mainly it being added as a separate mode and not the core of the game itself, it's a little worrying because we don't know how much staying power it has.
Right.
But a lot of people are sort of foregoing the rest of the game, because I was talking to someone the other day and they didn't even realize that Fortnite was a zombie survival game.
Well, also for the fact that Fortnite itself, the Battle Royale, is free, and the actual zombie survival is a paid game, so I mean... it's kind of hard to jump straight into that when you know the fun right now is in battle royale.
Yeah, it's just like I don't want branding to overtake what that game is, or like what any game is.
Right.
Like Paladins, for example, that could just kill whatever it is currently.
Also, depending on how they balance it, like you said before, because you don't want 100 Canessas going around just sniping each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see that once, but yeah, we don't want that all the time.
Yeah, not all the time.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. We've blown our Pocket Edition budget. No Pocket Edition next week. We're just cutting this episode in half.
Yep.
All right, guys. So be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode. You can find us on Twitch now. You can, hopefully you're watching us there first. If you are watching us there first, congratulations. Give us a follow. Leave us a comment. Say hello. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out our Twitch channel because we broadcast all of our content there in a TV Lite package every Saturday, so be sure to check that out. If you did miss anything in the broadcast on Twitch though, you'll find all of our content on demand on YouTube, and we can be found under GameCast on both platforms, so go check us out. Lastly, I'd like to thank Max. Hello Max, are you here? Mark, sorry. I'd like to thank Mark and Casey for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. You can find their channels linked down below in the description, and we'll see you guys in episode 20 of Pocket Edition next week. Have a good one.